All right. What's up, everyone? How's it going tonight? October 14th, 5:05 Eastern Standard Time. And it's getting to be pretty close to winter. That's your weather report for the day. Let me see who's in the chat. We'll go ahead and get this started. Got some good stuff for you today. We got Blue Ranty. That's right. Ranty is alive and well and with us in the chat. Hey, Ranty. We got nappy-headed Zero Combs, otherwise known as Sean, I think. Uh-oh. Okay, I know my memory's not so good. I think it's Sean. Explorer Rural Pex. That's a tongue twister. Freemason. Gary Wybenga. What's up, Gary? Rachy. Bill G. Plain Truth. Travis. What's going on? Let's see. Who else? We got Matrix Media. What's up, man? And I'm going back now. That's about it for now. I'm sure other people are headed in. I see Jeremy's in the Discord, and we'll open up that in a minute. First, let me do some plugging. If you want to support the show, super chats are open. And you've got a link for PayPal, which goes directly to Real Ranty. And the Patreon is in the info box. Also in the information box is a link to my channel. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, let me plug it real quick. Let's get that out of the way before we get into some good stuff here. Let me spam that in the chat real quick. I'd appreciate it if you headed over there. I'm probably talking to the converted already, but that's okay. And go on over there and give me a subscribe. I've got some good videos. All right, let's see what we got going on. I'm going to open up for Jeremy. I've got some more stuff on perspective. I think he's got some news. I saw he's been making the rounds over at Gems. And we got some videos to watch. And hopefully we'll have some more people join in Discord tonight. But let's get going. Jeremy, what's up, man?
What's up? How we doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Good.
I was just listening before
today?
the show shortly to you over in Gems. It sounded like you were talking to them about Polaris.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they were saying. Well, I got it into it with Moyak the other. Are we on the show right now or?
Oh yeah, we're live, man.
Oh. Yeah, I got into it with Moyak the other day about I was saying they say I misunderstood what he said, but if you're doing a measurement on a curve to Polaris, you got a curved angle. You got a curved line in your angle, so you got to do a calculation. You can't just do a straight up measurement. But they say they're doing it off horizontal, which is weird, but I don't know why.
Yeah, that's
I thought they were taking Earth curve. Like anytime I've ever heard that, they've always said they were taking Earth curve into the calculation when they triangulate stuff. Now they're saying no, it's the horizon.
Oh no. Yeah, I think I know what they're saying. Let me describe it to you and see if you agree with my description. Here, I'll share my screen, and then I've got a couple slides to go through anyway, because there has been more feedback on that. They were talking about it on Jose's show, among other things, and I caught just a piece of that. I drop it in there every once in a while, see what's going on. But so what they're talking about, I think, is when they measure the angle to Polaris, it's just like anything else with the stars. They are measuring from a ball, of course. First, they assume the ball.
Well, no, they're not. All right, go ahead.
Well, hold on. Let me describe it to you.
All right.
Okay. So their angle to Polaris is the latitude. So if they're like down here on the equator, 90 degrees would be directly up, but they're drawing like a flat plane locally, and that's their 180. So 180 would be directly up in line parallel with the celestial pole coming out of the North Pole, and that'd be 180. Then let's say they go to 45. The angle of Polaris is 45. So they again draw a parallel line, which is parallel with the celestial North Pole, and it's parallel with the line we just drew for the equator, and that's where they get the 45 from, because again they say that's a flat 180 right there locally, and that's a 45-degree angle coming off the side of the Earth, essentially. Does that make sense, or were they talking about something different?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I can't look at your drawing right now. I'm at work, but
Oh, okay.
I always thought they were taking Earth curve into consideration for this, but they're not because they're just measuring off a horizontal. So I don't know where they're.
Right. That's been my whole challenge when Crow XE comes in and has brought this up. Exactly that. They're just describing the observation on a flat plane, and as we all know, they insert the curvature after,
Yep.
or they assume what we talked about yesterday. I think this was a little bit of what Brandon said yesterday with his diagram. When the only thing that we have that's 180 degrees is over our heads from left to right. Okay, hold out your hands flat to your left, put your finger on the horizon, look straight overhead, and go back and go down to your right hand. Same thing. That's the only 180 degrees that exists. Everything else is 360 because if you turn around, that's a 360. Okay, so they are looking at what's above, charting out everything, right? So if you do 1 degree in the sky, how do you know it's 69 miles?
Yeah, you're just
Yeah, I
charting it
don't
from
know.
what if it's directly ahead above you, then you're
Okay.
saying, okay, it was
All right.
69 miles from the last time it was right up
Well,
above
hold
me.
on.
So
Yeah, hold on just real quick. So it, if you do 1 degree above your head, I don't care which degree you want to do, 45 to 46, 44 to 45, I don't care. Okay. How do you know that's 69 degrees, or I mean 69 miles? You have to have completed the circle. You have to have had 360 degrees, 180 above you, 180 below you. Then you have to know the circumference. Okay. But what I'm saying is that they've looked above their heads. They've mapped out 180 degrees, which is an arc, and then they've just assumed that that's what's happening below. So what Jeremy said again just a minute ago is precisely correct. All you're doing when you're looking out at Polaris at 45 at 30 degrees, you're looking straight ahead and then up. Those are just straight lines.
Yeah, this whole time, I mean, I thought I thought they were measuring it using the ground as one of their lines.
That they impose what I just said, the 69 degrees on the ground. As Brandon said, their latitudes are the degrees.
yeah.
So just like the latitude above your head, right? I mean, this is so abstract to think about this. If you just look straight ahead at 45 degrees and look straight ahead, let's just say, at what point does your eyesight stop? Does it stop because there's a block? Like if there was a wall in front of you, um, that wall would be a mile away or whatever. You can't see beyond it, right? But in reality, there's no. I don't even know how to say it. It's so bizarre to talk this way, but anyway.
Well, no, it is confusing, and I have another diagram that I'll show that kind of describes it better. It'll take me a minute to bring it up. I think it'll clear it up for you if you can get, to a screen, or just let me know when you're at a screen, Jeremy, and it'll
I
clear
mean,
up.
you could just if you could just DM it to me, that way I can check it when I go on break. I don't want to interrupt the whole show.
Oh, you're working. Okay. All right. All
Yeah.
right. Well, we'll figure it out later. Anyway, let me go.
I mean, this whole time I thought they were. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, let me go through these slides, but go ahead, man.
All right. No, I was gonna say just this whole. I've been in GEMS for over 6 months now, going on a year probably, and I had their argument wrong. You know what I'm saying? I thought they were using Earth curve or the ground of Earth for one of those lines of the angles to Polaris.
They are essentially,
So,
because yes, there's telling you that they're not using the horizon, but
yeah, they're saying
I don't know
they
how
say they
they
use
can.
a horizontal, which
How can they say they're not using the horizon when, if
no,
they're
yeah,
looking
there's 90
north,
degrees.
horizon is 0 degrees for them, and if they're looking south, that's their 180.
No, they say they're going 90 degrees from plumb, horizontal.
That's the same thing essentially, right? I mean, what's 90
I don't know.
degrees from plumb? Horizontal. And you look out into the distance. Let's say you're on the water. and you look out 90 degrees, what are you going to see?
I mean, the horizon, you would think, right?
Yeah, I don't know what else. I don't know where they're fucking living, but that's
I don't know.
strange. I'd have to have somebody explain that one to me. That sounds like a difference without a distinction, really.
I mean, all the ballers were backing them. They're measuring this 90 degrees from plumb, or they're measuring it horizontal. So that's what they say now.
Well,
I thought it was different.
yeah, there's no Earth curve involved in it. The Earth curve involved in their measured assumption is first they assume they're on a ball, and then the angle that they get from their measurement, they apply it to the side of a ball. that's where it comes in. It's that they assume they're on a ball first, and then measure the angle and say, well, obviously Polaris is in that direction, right?
But with them measuring from horizontal, that's not them assuming they're on a ball first. They're adding that in after, maybe, but there's nothing about a measure a ball when you're doing just 90 degrees from plumb.
Right. Yeah, you're right in a sense, because they do the measurement, they get the angle, and then you can apply that to a flat plane or a ball. Now, what they'll tell you is it's impossible on a flat plane.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to break down, is that this bullshit model that they give us of how Polaris would work on a flat plane is totally flawed. That's what I've been trying to get at. And I got these slides trying to make it really simple and get to the heart of this thing. So hopefully this helps a little bit. And you guys can give me some feedback, at least, Travis, if you're able to see the screen. Otherwise I can wait. But anyway, so
yeah, I can see it.
Okay, cool. All right, so obviously on screen I've got a cube. There's a few different ways you can draw a cube. This in particular cube is called a simple cube. It has some visual cues to suggest the depth, like the sides are shallower in between the front and the back. And it is slanted, right? But the main thing we're interested in here is there's no angle changes. This might be a little angled, but the sides are the same length. This side is the same length, the front and the back. It's the exact same square in the front and the back. And there's no angle changes between here. And the green ones are the same, the blue ones are the same.
That's messing with my eyes, man.
Yeah. I know the colors are a little much, aren't they? So
no, so just real quick, I'm just tweaking out. So if you look at it straight on, if you look at it like it's standing straight up, the right panel with the diagonal blue and the diagonal green, that's the right side of the cube, right? But if you think about looking straight down into the cube, then the green and the blue are on top, and the green and the other blue are inside. Looking at it that way totally
shit.
tweaks.
It's like a what is it called?
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you change the way you're looking at it, it totally tweaks your vision. Anyway,
it's all about perspective.
Hell yeah. Hey, Rob, what's going on? I'll have to figure out a way to make this easier to look at so you don't see two things. But anyway, so obviously we don't see like that. That doesn't match reality. So perspective drawing is a little bit different. And here the front and the back are different sizes, and the angles are different. So you'll see that they cant inwards. This is the top of the ball or the cube right here. They cant inwards, and then there's a smaller back. All sides are like that. So this cants inward.
No, the little one's on the top, pointed towards me.
Yeah, that's the same thing what I was doing with my eyes.
Oh, shit.
I can make it look either way I want.
Really? I can only make it look the one way.
Yep. No, I can put the big square in the front, or I could put the little square in the front.
Oh, I see it now. Oh, that's creepy. Yeah, because this is like the front,
right?
And then it goes outwards like that, like backwards perspective.
But, this is why ballers don't want us to trust our senses. Just saying.
Oh, wow.
Is it creepier than the brain? Is it creepier than the brainstorm green needle thing?
I don't know what that is.
Oh, you should check that out. It's pretty weird.
Brainstorm green needle, huh?
Yeah.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, look into that. It's weird.
All right. So like I
It's
said,
awesome.
the back side and the front side are different sizes, and the angles are different. There's
That's relative.
yeah, yeah, it is. I guess yeah. There's relativity for you. Huh?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll be on mute.
No, you're good, man. All right, so here's our two cubes drawn different ways. Here's our man. Let's say that there's an observer, and this is like a giant cube. And hopefully you can see this how I mean it to be seen, but this is the front here. This is going back. This is the back square. So try to look at it that way. This is the front. And now that you guys said that, my eyes are shifting back and forth between the two ways of looking at it.
I can't look at these things.
Yeah,
cannot.
even with the dude in it, I can put the dude in the back, or I can put the dude in the front.
Okay, I'm going to try something real quick. Let's see if I format it, if I make it
The guy
on the
left. The guy on the left is at the bottom of the cube, not in front.
Oh man, no. Shit, people are going to get the wrong impression for sure. Here, does that help any if I make the front white like that? So I don't want people to get the wrong impression. There, the front is white now. And the red goes back, and the back square is red.
No, I could still do it.
Oh, man. All right. Well, try not to do it. I'm going to do it to this one, so just so people who are listening know what the hell I'm talking about. That's really interesting. Let me take that up front. There. Okay. So the white is the front, and it goes to the back, which is the red square. So here he is on the cube that we drew without perspective. Here he is on the perspective cube. Now, which one will the man see in reality? Obviously, the answer is pretty obvious. I went back to the other cubes, but he's going to see this one because this matches how we see, right? So if I were to draw that sideways, let's say I put that man down there and I had him measure the angles to the top of these back corners or the top or anything back here. As opposed to this, there's going to be a difference. You can see this side is down lower. These sides are in more. The angle going back to the back is in more. So if I drew it on a side view, which one would be the correct way to draw it? If I wanted to represent how the guy sees it and the angles he sees in reality in a 2D view, how would I draw it? Would I draw it as this square, no perspective, or would I draw it like this with the back smaller? So that's,
you draw it by the right image.
Yeah, that's what I
lighting
think too.
And shading would help a lot.
That is yes, that became very clear, Rob. I think that's a good suggestion. But what do you think, Rob? Rob, any idea?
Sorry, I what I think is I'm trying to do a valve cover gasket on a Jeep YJ, and it's hard to do both.
Oh, no problem, man. You're working okay. All right, so I'm gonna go with this one. Now the issue is these guys believe, as we've been discussing, that their diagram, this one that doesn't include any perspective, is the correct one, and that it actually includes perspective, even though it's an orthographic view. So I don't know how much clearer I can make it what my position is, that because you're representing something that you measured with perspective, you have to represent it so that it matches perspective. And that's what screws it all up, because depending on which way you represent it, makes the angles go out a lot farther. If you represent it with perspective, the distances are closer. So you would draw a line up from here, draw a line. That would be, you know, the position of the object at each angle intersection, right? But otherwise you'd have to go out to where it intersects up here, which is a lot farther. So anyway, that's that. Anybody got anything else on that? Let me know. Just a short little demo there with some screwed up squares. I see we got a couple people who joined the chat. We got Chad. What's up, Chad?
Definitely a cool drawing, and I like looking at those 3D blocks.
All right, appreciate that, Ron. We got Chad who joined. What's up, Chad?
What's going on?
What's up, man? F. Evangelist, how you doing? I must be busy.
I'm just trying to dodge the rain. How you doing?
Not bad. Rakeel Life, what's up, man?
Oh, doing great. I'd like to add something to that just to make everybody feel at home. You just don't understand, and you're pretty dumb also.
Thank you. Yes. It's been a while since I heard that. I appreciate that. Yes.
Water.
Stole my line, Dave.
Hey, actually, I wanted to get you guys to do something regarding that. You don't understand. If you could, when I count 3, 2, 1, everybody at the same time say, "You don't understand." Okay? Because I want to get a sound clip of saying that. All right. So here we go. I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, and then go. 3, 2, 1. You don't understand.
You don't understand.
Oh man,
Dude, that was terrible.
that was really
You don't
bad.
understand.
You gave. Are we going
I don't
on
understand.
go
You
or
don't
after go?
understand.
Okay, I
Wait,
will
are we
say.
don't
going
understand.
on 3? Or are we going on 3? Or are we pretending there's a 4 and then we're going on 4?
Always one.
Is it one and then
Always
go,
one.
or is it go on one? What movie was that? That was when they jumped out of the cops.
They did it in
The
Lethal
other
Weapon.
guys.
Who's on
The
first?
other guys, yeah, that's right.
All right, yeah, I knew this
Great
was
movie,
this
yep.
would be
Is
difficult.
that SE? I'm out if it is.
Do a count to 1, 2, 3, and then we'll pretend there's a 4, and we go on 4.
Okay, all right. I'll say 1, 2, 3. Now you're backwards. I'll say 3, 2, 1, and then if where the 4 would be, start talking.
We got it.
Okay.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. You don't understand.
Stand.
That was
And it's 0, by the way, not 4.
yeah.
Oh shit. All right. Well, that's good enough. Maybe
Couldn't have gone any worse, really, could it?
no. We'll see
Yeah.
if I can touch that up in with
I'm
some
on
audio
move.
things.
I
don't
think listen,
understand.
what you should do is just record our own individual voices and send you the sound clip, and then you just overlay it.
Yeah, that'd be cool. All right. Well,
I say we put Gleam in charge. He's the only one that knows this stuff.
I'll have it done in 2 minutes.
sweet.
Or do it. You know when we get
He's not a surveyor.
when you do your 5 minutes at the end, just say it, but you've got to have a blank space before and after, so you can cut it out perfectly.
See, I told you he knows his music stuff.
That'd be
Got
awesome.
qualification in it. I went to college to learn that.
Right.
You don't understand.
As you can see, we've got Gleam that joined us. What's up, Gleam?
Salute.
And SE Montreal. What's up, man?
Hey, hey.
See the Moon Man.
I did get a super chat come in. Let me read that real quick, and then we'll get on to something fun. Oh, I thought there was something out there. Never mind. All right. Anyway, so what's going on, guys? Ricky, I heard you earlier on Jose's.
Yeah, it's fun. Got George to admit that something 15 miles away, about 7 miles away, could have a optical obstruction and block the object in the distance, which they're all folding to that. They have to, right? Because it's just out there. And then Jose saying that the bridge in the middle would be higher than both the shorelines, which is impossible.
Yeah, that's interesting because Rumpus clearly said that last week too. I think it was Thursday or Friday when he was in that looming of the foreground happens. What changed? Why are they all of a sudden giving into that? I don't understand.
Because I've been hounding them and some other people, SC, we all been getting after them, right, for almost a year, and they've been denying it, and we're idiots. We don't understand. Now they're having to cave in because everybody in their groups, right, are coming up and say, hey, I'm seeing this, right? They got to be talking on the side, right? Because now they're switching.
Tell you why? It's because of that black swan argument. They've had to completely reverse their position because of that black swan photo. That screwed them, and now they talk a whole different brand of rubbish.
Yeah, that's a good point because that was a big sea change for them in finally,
Yeah, and that
admitting.
was in January. That was almost a year ago. So that kind of lines up.
Okay.
I heard they were complaining about moderating. I told them I'd bring it up on the show. GPS was complaining.
Yeah, I heard him complaining too last night somewhere. I don't exactly know what he's talking about. I'd have to see what he's talking about, but I trust the moderators we have over there and their judgment.
That's what I told them. But I told them I promise you I'll bring it up to Ranty and Brandon. They were complaining about Bob, basically.
Yeah. Well, Bob doesn't put up with any, bullshit trolling in the comments, so I really can't blame him. But I appreciate
Hey, listen,
you bringing it up.
Ranty made the disclaimer before you started your shows, Brandon, that the chat was going to get run completely different. So he's already put it out there that it is what it is.
Yeah,
You've got moderators out there that have wrenches, and it is what it is.
absolutely, it is what it is.
If you can't adjust to the mods, right, then, you're not going to probably give a good input anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
Right? If they're,
Oh, go ahead.
well, if they're kicking people for trolling or being ugly or whatever, then don't do that and you won't get kicked.
Yeah, exactly. How valuable is it to have somebody in there just going, "Oh, flat earthers are stupid. You guys can't even tie your shoes," all the time. We've all heard it 1,000 times. You're not breaking any new ground. You're not adding to the conversation. So just don't do it. Go somewhere else and do that shit.
Don't do it.
We could just tell the Globers to give us their definitive, undeniable proof, and this thing will all end.
I told GPS, look, you guys are welcome on the show anytime. You're going to be respected. I guarantee you're going to be respected. Am I wrong about that?
No, of course not. If any Glober wants to come on and give us some of their evidence or just talk, sit on the panel or whatever, more than welcome, of course.
You heard it, GPS. He's in the chat. You heard it, bro.
And WS.
And especially WS.
Yeah.
Especially WS.
You guys are keyboard pansies.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys got something to show us that is going to break new ground and, you think
guess
seals
I
the
wasn't being
case,
heard.
bring it in.
Can I say something?
Of course.
These guys that are complaining in the chat threads, don't pay them any mind until they join the panel, and then they can voice their concerns. Until then, they're insignificant.
I'm sure if they weren't
anybody
acting like assholes, they wouldn't.
speak? Sorry, Jeremy.
No, sorry. I was just gonna say I'm sure if they're not acting like assholes, they're not gonna get modded, right?
Yeah, well, he was crying if anybody disagrees with Bob, just disagrees with him, they get booted. I said, I find that hard to believe, so, but I said, I'll bring it up.
Yep, that's fine. They got a right to express their opinion. That's cool. I did find that super chat from Flat Earth, love, in a smiley face with hearts. Thank you, Flat Earth. Appreciate the support of the channel. And then we had one more come in from our panel member, Paige. What's up, Paige? Shout out to Gleam. Love the gravy you serve up. Much love, brother. For $5 Australian. So that one's to you, Gleam.
Salute, Queen.
Speaking of Gleam, I caught part of your debate with, I think it was Team Skeptic and Fight the Flat Earth at the same time. Is that right?
And PhD Tony chips in, and people in the chat, mathematics professors, so to say. Oh, it was hilarious. It was so funny. Put it
Well, I mean,
this
that's
way.
how we.
Yeah. Go on.
That's how we do it when you're in the trenches. You usually are going up against 4 or 5 Globers at once.
Yeah, they put it this way. I'm blocked on that channel, so I can't reply to any comments. And he's been told since Monday, and it happened on Sunday. And I've just ruined him in the comments. I've just literally I cited everything, and literally I asked for a citation of their claims probably about 20 times, and not one of them brought up one thing apart from Team Skeptic brought up the measurements for the Michelson-Morley experiment, which absolutely did not support his case anyway, because he didn't. It took 2.5 hours for them to still not understand the history of actual science, and this wasn't even mentioning the flat Earth. The flat Earth wasn't mentioned once, apart from saying we haven't mentioned the flat Earth once. So I literally, it was just such a ball ache. What it is you tell your story in as much as how much you understand it, and then you slap a citation on the table which actually backs you up, and then they're all panicking, searching wiki, finding the first thing that they can panic type and say, oh no, but yeah, I've got something here that says something else. Typical example was PhD Tony cracked me up. I've got to get a video out of this, but he come on saying, I said about Carl Anderson in 1936 won the Nobel Prize for photographing the positron. And he rudely interrupted me all pedantically and said, no, I'm not having that. I'm not allowing that. You cannot say that we photographed something as small as an electron. And I was like, stop being pedantic. Let me get on with my story. And he was like, no, I'm not allowing you. When us professionals talk and we know what we're talking about, we like to be correct and we like to be robust in what we're saying, or we're chatting nonsense. Now, little does he know that it was a photograph, and it was a photograph of a cloud chamber. What he was thinking was an electron microscope was needed in order to see such a small thing. So he was absolutely wrong to pull me up, said that I shouldn't be using the word photograph, even though it's in the Nobel Prize literature.
I heard that, Gleam. You were great, bro. You made them look really bad, bro.
But it's so difficult when you're fighting against egos just going, no, you must be wrong. You must, there's something on the internet that says here that you must be wrong. Just give me 2 seconds. I've got to find it. It's amazing. It's amazing. But it's globe earth science. That's the difficulty. That was the harsh thing. They're denying their own science, their own model.
You know what's
got-
funny, Gleam? You had to explain to them, like you said, you had to explain to them their own model, the theories that they should know, which they didn't, of course.
Well, I don't know if you guys have noticed a trend or not, but some of them are even renouncing the globe and now just claiming to be flat Earth skeptics.
What?
Yeah, that's Lael's beautiful invention, like they did with the
Dross
1
does
degree.
that. They're not claiming the globe; they're just flat Earth skeptics now, apparently.
Yeah. They're trying to play reverse psychology. Oh, we didn't see that. Just like when we destroyed the 3959, they went to the 1 degree every 69 miles. Yeah.
Flat Earth
Just
skeptics.
damage the control.
You're a moron, Gleam. It's not a photograph of a positron. It's a photograph of the track, the cloud of the positron leaves. It's not a photograph of a positron. You're an idiot.
Well,
No,
I don't
sorry,
think there's any
you're an
need for
idiot.
that.
You're an
No,
idiot.
it's not a photograph of a positron. A positron is a point particle.
I know. It was the
No, you
evidence.
don't know.
No, listen, you have just butted in. You haven't obviously watched the debate, have you?
No, well,
'Cause-
you're wrong.
Well,
What
listen.
you said just now
No,
is wrong.
listen. I said Carl Anderson won the Nobel Prize for photographing the positron.
He didn't photograph a positron. He photographed the track a positron left. You moron.
I know this, but that
No,
is
you
considered.
don't know because if you
that
can't
is
use
considered
language correctly-
photographing, not electron microscoping,
He's
isn't
not
it,
talking about-
Rumpus?
no, yes, of course it is. No, PhD, I'm sure, didn't say anything about being electron photo. What he's pointing out is the same point I'm making. You're not photographing
Absolute
a positron.
nonsense.
Listen, you're not photographing a positron. You're
No.
photographing the cloud chamber
You're
bubbles
wrong.
in a cloud
You're
chamber, which are not a positron.
So why
That
did he
is
say
the
call it an
track
image
of a
instead?
That's the track of a positron.
Why did he say call it an image?
Which is an image. It's a photograph. but it's not of a positron.
He said it's not a photograph.
It's not of a positron.
No, he said it's not
of
a
a positron.
Are you
It's of
deaf?
a track
He said
of a
it's
positron.
not a photograph, it's an electron microscope. And you've just confirmed it's a photograph. You don't know the argument, Rumpus. You're
Well, I
embarrassing
don't know
yourself.
what he's. I don't know what. I didn't watch your debate, but what you said was
Blah, blah,
wrong.
blah, blah,
And I
blah,
don't
blah.
believe he said he requires an electron microscope to see a positron
I'll
because you
cite
can't.
you it. I'll cite you it. I've already.
You can't use an electron microscope to
I'll
take a
cite it.
picture of a positron, and I'm sure PhD
I'll
Tony
cite
knows
it.
it.
It was
And the
a
fact that you
cloud
call it-
chamber.
and
That is the whole purpose of it.
The fact that you called
get
it a
the track.
photograph. The fact that you called it a photograph of a positron makes it absolutely clear you had no idea what you were talking about. And he was making the point, I'm sure, that I'm now making, that it's not a photograph of a positron. It's a photograph of bubbles in a cloud chamber. Or well, it's vapor. It's the condensation. It's condensed water. It's the condensation. It's not a positron you're looking at. It's the track of a positron
I know
in
this.
water vapor. Well, no, you didn't. You
You're
said
shouting.
It's a photograph
You're
of a
shouting.
positron. You said
It
it's a
says,
photograph
look.
of a positron.
Look, listen. He was
Stop
talking.
eating your
You can't.
microphone, Rumpus.
Yeah, it's a bloody crap microphone. I'm sorry about that.
Giving me a headache. Jeez.
Sorry, I'll turn the volume down. It's like a crappy microphone. It keeps.
It says on the wiki webpage, cloud chamber photograph by C.D. Anderson of the first positron ever identified.
It's
I'm
not.
eyeballing it right
Listen.
now.
It's
Now
not
listen.
a photograph of
Now,
a positron.
oh, for God's sake. He said, I
Your
cannot
language
call
is
it a
sloppy.
photograph
We know
because.
it's a photograph. We know it's a photograph, but it's
So
not.
you're
of a
wrong then,
positron.
aren't you,
No, I'm
Rumpus?
totally right. It's not a photograph of a positron. You're not listening, are you? This is why I have to repeat
No,
things
you're
to you,
not listening
you're
because you
so
didn't understand
stupid.
the point,
I
because you
understand
haven't
it
seen the
perfectly.
context.
I understand it perfectly. You
No, you
called it
don't,
a photograph.
because you
You
haven't
didn't
even
even
listened
watch
to.
the
don't
debate,
understand.
I
Rumpus.
don't need
Yeah.
to.
Rumpus, you're being a
The
prick.
statement that Gleam made is wrong.
You're being a
Being
prick.
Rumpus.
So what?
You are just being a
You're being a
prick.
He
pedantic
clarified.
prick.
It's not a photograph of a positron. It's a photograph of the track left in a cloud.
Wasting our time,
You're
We heard
completely
you.
missing the point.
Yeah, but you don't seem to be taking it on board. You don't seem to understand what's being said here.
Oh, Rumpus, you
Hey,
don't seem
look,
to
you're
understand
just
because you haven't seen the
tonight.
debate. What was
Because
my
you're
argument?
tonight.
What was my argument with
no idea, but
PhD Tony?
You just made a wrong statement. It's
What
not
was
a
my
photograph
argument?
of a positron.
What was my
idea. I didn't-
argument?
Well, you're a gibbering idiot. Why
That
should
it
I
wasn't a
listen to you?
photograph, that it was an electron microscope.
No, I didn't say that. What are you, idiot? I'll have to say it again. It's
No,
a
you
photograph
have just butted in on a conversation
It's
that you
a
know fuck all
photograph
about, you dinny
of the
twat.
track of a positron in a cloud chamber. It's not a photograph of a positron, and I'm sure that's the point that Tony was
Okay.
making.
I'll read you what Tony says word for word, yeah, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
If that's okay,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
because you obviously haven't seen it, have you?
No, I haven't.
Okay,
But
here's
the
his
statements
words.
you're making are wrong.
Can you not say photograph?
This is
And
a
then I
photograph.
said,
It's a photograph.
are you panicking or what?
Listen.
No, you're an idiot. I don't know why. It's a photograph.
No, this is Tony. This
Everybody
is what
says
Tony
it's a
told
pho-
me. Can you
Oh,
not
okay,
say
fine.
Let
photograph?
him
Sorry,
This is
finish,
Tony.
Rumpus. Are you scared to hear?
I'm citing.
Are you scared,
Yeah,
Rumpus?
we'll leave it there then.
Gleam, just
Come on
say
then.
quote.
No,
Quote,
there we
and
go.
then say it.
Quote of Tony.
Right.
Tony said this. Can you not say photograph? I'll end quote. Why should I not say photograph?
Have you finished?
Just asked you. I said end quote. Why should I not say photograph? He told me I couldn't say it.
Well, because he's presumably talking about photographing a positron, whereas what you're actually doing in that image is photographing water vapor. Well, not water vapor, condensation, water suspended in a cloud chamber. It's not a photograph of a positron.
All right.
He's missing the point.
All right,
Gleam.
Rumpus. Thanks
missed the
for
point,
the
Rumpus. How dumb are you?
clarification. Appreciate that,
He
Rumpus.
was
So
being
anyway,
pedantic
Thanks,
over
Rumpus.
something he
Bye-bye.
got wrong.
anyway,
You don't
Gleam.
understand
So what else
scientific
happened
language.
during the debate? We're
You
past
don't
that point now,
understand
Rumpus.
how to use
We're past that
scientific
point now,
language.
Rumpus. We're past that
Yeah.
point now,
You're not even
Rumpus.
arguing
You don't
the
know how to
point,
talk about
Rumpus.
science.
So the
He's
core
gone.
the core thing in the whole debate was Fight the Flat Earth said to me 2 years ago on his own video about the Michelson-Morley experiment. He says in that in the video, the experiment did not detect an ether when it did actually make a detection, but not the expected detection. Number two, he said that following that, the paper concluded that ether doesn't exist. And I said, oh no, that is absolutely incorrect. It did not conclude that. It actually concluded that one type of ether, it didn't fit, but Stokes' theory of ether drag, it did fit. And literally, I asked them to pull up the paper, literally both teams skeptic and fight the flat earth probably 10 times. And would they pull it up? Would they hell? So just to cite it, put it this way, just to cite the actual paper itself. Where are we here? So that
Are you sharing, Gleam?
no, I should do really, because I should actually show the
Yeah, that'd be cool
paper.
if you could show it. Let me while you're getting ready for that, let me just say I server muted Rumpus because he was derailing what was an otherwise good conversation. If he had come in here and wanted to talk, had an issue with Gleam, something Gleam said during the debate, and wanted to discuss it in a civil manner, that'd be fantastic. But he didn't even watch the debate, and he kept insisting on the same point over and over again, swallowing his microphone, and wouldn't shut up when told we were moving on. So he's got to go. So he did his job. He got his mark on his time card or whatever, and that's the night for him. He's deafened himself as well. So
You don't have to explain yourself, Brandon. Everyone heard
He's
what
listening
happened.
on
Total red
YouTube.
herring.
Hey,
Everyone heard
Rumpy.
what happened.
Total red herring.
Hey, Rumpy.
So either way, this is the crux of the whole debate, is that I went on there to say, look, ether does exist. It is actually being used today in science. There are some valuable and very well respected physicists who do believe that the ether exists. And we have found these things, virtual particles and the background energy, let's say the quantum background, and they're all considered an ether. So in Mickelson's Morley original paper, it's on the American Institute of Physics, says there the expected fringe shift was 0.4, which was actually corrected by Lorentz later to be 0.2. But it says it was probably less than a 14th part of that, which is 0.00113 or something like that. Now, this is the actual conclusion of the paper. This is a supplement that was added later. But if we were now if now it were legitimate to conclude from the present work that the ether is at rest with regard to the Earth's surface, according to Lorentz, there could not be a velocity potential, and his own theory fails or also fails. So it was saying that Fresnel's ether didn't work, but Stokes still did, because he said that you couldn't detect a velocity potential. Now, from there, this is no globe earther, it seems, actually knows the story, where straight after that, Lorentz was threatened because he had his ether theory, and he was like, no, they're going to delete my ether theory. So he went away and developed the Lorentz transforms, which then became special relativity and relativity in its entirety. But they kept on saying to me many a times throughout the whole debate, the MMX experiment deleted it. It's gone. It's not used in science. I pulled up George Sagnac paper from 1913 using ether. So obviously it wasn't removed. And they were like, yeah. They still thought it existed. And I was like, well, what are you being stupid for? It hasn't been removed then, has it? If people are still actually working on it, it's not been removed. And then we went through the whole quantum of Dirac and whatnot, and they were just in complete denial. Everything I said, they'd quickly look up something on the internet and go, no, that's wrong. You're completely wrong. And then when I'd show my citation saying, no, I am actually right, it'd still be, no, you're wrong. You got to be wrong. Look, you don't know. You're stupid, or distraction. It's hilarious to be part of.
So just default to you're wrong automatically, and then go look for the evidence that you're wrong.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Yep.
Exactly that. That is the whole MO.
How is
That
that
is the whole
honest in
MO.
any way?
What? Sorry.
How is that honest of them in any way?
Not at all. None at all. And it's hilarious that they blocked the comments or blocked me from the channel, because originally it was supposed to take place on Fight the Flat Earths, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, are you going to debate Team Skeptic? I'm like, okay. My argument was with you, but yeah, let's have you all. I'll take you all on. And that's literally it. And I said to him, when I was directly going back at PhD Tony, he says, well, there's a guy in the chat that says you're wrong. And I'm like, bring him in then. Don't just use him as evidence. Don't just say there's a guy who's a Cambridge mathematician. Bring him on and let him explain to me how I'm wrong. Don't just say, no, there's a guy in the chat that believes you're wrong. It's like, what the hell are you on about? You got a PhD.
Yeah, that's funny.
Amazing.
Oh, yeah, I thought what I saw was really good. I got to go back and watch the rest of it, but and you got a smooth way of approaching those guys too. That's really non-confrontational to start off with, and you keep your calm really well, a lot better than I could, because those guys want you to lose your shit.
This is all about keeping your calm. I try to model myself after Chemo, because he always he keeps his calm very, very good throughout everything. If you approach it like that, that's definitely better than screaming and yelling. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes you look like a fool. I
Yeah.
think screaming.
Not a
and
good
yelling,
look. When Rumpus comes in here and eats his microphone, that's not a good look for them guys.
No, that's it.
No,
Panic
not at all.
stations. And that's what Craig done. Craig just ended up just throwing abuse at me, and I was just like, mate, are you a big baby or what? What is going on? And it is because he wouldn't pull up this exact site. He knew that it didn't say, oh, ether now doesn't exist. He knew that. And he knew that if he showed that, he'd embarrass himself.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's absolutely crazy speaking to the liars who are willing to lie about their own science. And as I say, flat Earth wasn't even mentioned. This is just about their own history of special relativity. And it's funny. They're going up against citation. And I put up 3 Nobel Prize winning scientists, or John Bell was a nominee when on his year of death. But 3 Nobel Prize winning scientists says, yep, both mathematics of ether and space-time are the same. And they still wouldn't have it. No, who are they? Have they got peer reviews? And sort of, these are the people that are sort of like discovered the bottom quark and were directors of Fermilab and shit like that. It's like, wow, you're really now chucking them under a bus. Saying
Yeah,
that we
I'll
shouldn't-
bring up
yeah.
I'll bring up people that won Nobel Prizes to support some of my stuff, and they'll say, "Oh no, that guy's a quack. He won the Nobel Prize, but now he's a quack."
Yeah, that's it. It's like, wow. It's like crazy.
Yeah,
Absolute
I've seen
madness.
Well, yeah, if you haven't checked that out, is it on your channel or is it reposted on any kind of Flat Earth channel? Or is it just on Team Skeptics?
It's Team Skeptics. Yeah, I've downloaded it just in case he deletes it, but I doubt he will, because it is a mockery. It's a perfect way how they handle it. They handle it by, and you'll see it. The whole trend throughout the whole thing is they'll make a claim. I'll go citation. They'll go, no, you don't get to tell us what to do. Rah 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 rah. And then I make a claim. They go citation. I show the citation. They go, nah, you've misunderstood it. You don't know what that says.
it's out of context. Yeah,
Exactly.
Cherry
That is the
picking.
perfect one that
you don't
all
understand what you're reading.
Yeah. That's it. It's crazy.
One of my
He was
favorite ones
totally
is
totally disrespected.
Oh, I'm sure. One of their favorite things to do to you, Gleam, and they love to do this to people, is your citation supports my position. Ha ha ha, you're dumb.
Yeah, that is their one.
Or you didn't read the bottom part. You missed the next page or something. Yeah, I'm going to read something for you, dude. Yeah, no. It's unbelievable.
What are the? We need to get a statistician to do the odds of every single piece of anything we ever find anywhere is either wrong or we don't understand it. What would be the odds of that, do you reckon?
We'll do a quantum calculation, because there's bound to be. But I don't know whether you can see my screen now on there, but this was one of my citations. And it was so hilarious to watch Team Skeptic cherry pick himself while they were shouting, I'm cherry picking. Yeah, this article, the Higgs field as the new ether. They're going, this ain't even about ether, what you're talking about. This is about a new ether called the Higgs ether. Completely different. See, you don't know what you're talking about. Exactly like what you just said there, Brandon. It was hilarious. But then you come down to here, and it's literally saying, I mean, Frank Wyjack is basically saying that the new Higgs field is the new ether in his book, but he gives all the letters that Einstein wrote to Lorentz, saying, first off, I agree with you that general theory of relativity is closer to the. Sorry, no, he was up here. He actually wrote to Lorentz. Yeah, there it is. Sorry, it is these two. He's saying that the general theory of relativity is closer to the ether hypothesis more than the special theory, but they don't violate each other. They're both equal. And then it says here that he's wrote back to him 3 years later, saying that it would have been more correct if he limited himself in his earlier publications to emphasizing only the non-existence of ether velocity instead of arguing a total non-existence of ether. For he can see that the word ether, to basically ascribe nothing to space, is stupid. There needs to be something as a carrier particles. So either way, they were saying, no, this is nothing to do with ether that I was on about, which is there's only one ether, the luminiferous ether that Michelson-Morley experiment was about. But he literally come down to here and he goes, where it is, it's something that says, and this idea actually backs up special relativity. I can't see where it is. It goes, this idea actually backs up special relativity. And he's going, there, look, it's exactly the same. It backs up our stance, not your stance. And I was like, silly man, special relativity and ether theory are the same thing. That is what the Lorentz transforms are.
Even if they're both the same thing, they're still only theories. It's all reification fallacies. It's grasping at straws.
It's all mathematics off of how electricity works. That's basically how it is. How electric flows.
Way back when they suspected mesons, muons, heavy leptons, and everything they ever look for, they find. It's funny how that works. They look for a Higgs boson layer. Guess what? They found it. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen photos of it, particles from it. Only theories on paper and people's words. Same with ether. I asked Pete Shea for 6 years for a cup of ether. He can't give it to me. And like I said, my definition, what I've been schooled as the ether, has nothing to do with all these silliness of today, new age thing. And, why would, if space doesn't exist already above us, the vacuum and all that stuff, why would we need to search for the thing that binds all atoms and electricity and matter together and controls all things? We speculate that exists, go looking for it, and then pretend we're finding it with subatomic particles and stuff? Really? I mean, that's a turkey shoot. This is nonsense.
I think it was more born out of you can't get absolute zero or an absolute perfect vacuum because of this, basically.
Or because you just can't do them. There may not be a because, just because you can't. If you suck hard enough on even a steel cylinder, it'll crack, and whatever crystals will start to suck inward and break. There's only so much any physical object can take as stress. So it might not be about some mysterious force. It might just be about pure and applied physics.
Yeah, I mean, in my eyes, the Casimir effect, and it was hilarious that Team Skeptic even used that against me, considering that was my argument to him. The Casimir effect is basically where you got two non-conducting or conductive plates, and you don't charge them up, and if you add up what the natural electrons within the plates are and their distance between them, you can actually get a measurable difference and an attraction or repulsion without them being in contact. And that that was one of the evidences for this 0-point energy.
Yeah, and it was no
I
matter
think you
what
brought that
position,
up, Gleam.
vertical, horizontal, facing place. It didn't matter how they were oriented towards each other.
Yeah, it was to do with the space in between, in as much as or how they say it can be relativistically interpreted as the actual its own force acting on the space around it.
And
But
it knows no up or down.
I think in my mind I can't picture nothing. I can't understand space as nothing. And if
Nothing's
you get
hard to envision.
Nothing is nothing. Nothing doesn't exist.
that's what I'm saying. So there must be, put it this way, if I look around my room now, I've obviously got air in here, but there is matter. There's a certain definite difference between the matter of my couch and whatnot, and also the air, which is thin matter, let's say. But to get no matter, I can't comprehend. And that's where I think the ether comes in. It's the state, the ground state before physical matter that we can see is let's say manifested is the better
Well,
word.
your sofa is made of, physical matter, mass, like dirt, like bowling balls, like rocks, and the air is a mobile gas. They're not the same. The gas doesn't have to have an ether to exist. It's there everywhere. It exists because of itself, without help of an invisible force.
But then if you suck it all out in a vacuum, then what is moving those plates together and apart? If you remove all the gas.
Static domains and electrical charge that remain. You can't suck those out with a vacuum. Just like rubbing a balloon and sticking it to a wall, it'll still work in a vacuum because it's static. Electricity has nothing to do with gravity or downward pull or anything.
Yeah, no, that is the van der Waals interpretation. That it's its own internal electrons creating an additional field.
Does the magnet stop working in a vacuum? No, it'll still hold on to nails, pins, tacks.
Can you create an arc in a vacuum?
That's a difficult one. Yeah, you need a gas. Argon, some type of inert gas, whatever, you'll need a gas. Lasers, carbon dioxide lasers, they all need a gas. When it comes to incandescent bulbs, they don't need gas because they're radiating from the filament itself. So-called electrons are boiling off because there's a surplus that can't make it through the resistor while the rest is still pushing on it from behind. So it loses some to the space around it.
You can't have an electrical arc in a vacuum, though.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Possible.
Yeah.
And you can't combust anything. Look, Cody's lab, he did it once, he did it honestly, he couldn't even get an explosive. Peroxides, they're explosive, they're high explosives. And he couldn't even get, a peroxide mixture, high explosive, to explode in a vacuum.
I've seen with gunpowder, Jimbo, with a laser, they couldn't get it to go off.
No, and solid rocket fuel, it's like potassium nitrate, sugar, and iron filings. It won't light. It'll melt a bit, maybe get a fizzle here and there, but nothing will continue to support the combustion. So rockets in a vacuum in space, it's operation zero.
Impossible.
Impossible. C'est de la maudite bullshit. I think even if you're English, you can understand that.
I respectfully disagree.
Let's hear it.
No, that's just respect. I respectfully disagree. I know the argument back and forth, but yeah, with an oxidizer and a propellant together, yeah, it will ignite and combust.
Cody could not get high explosives to blow up in a vacuum. We're talking a really explosive rocket fuel. Peroxides are all classed as high explosives. Gunpowder is a low explosive. Solid rocket fuel is a low explosive. They all have their own internal oxygen supply. They all do. Whether it's nitrate or whether it's, saturated organics, it don't matter. They all have their own oxygen and should combust if rockets work in space, but they do not. Having your own oxygen supply or trying to mix hydrogen and oxygen, in a vacuum and light them. It'll never work.
Well, I thought the propellant was just them ejecting gas. Isn't that what they use to propel through space?
It is, but it has nothing to push off. At least when a rocket goes up on the ground, it has air to push off, right? Initially
you don't
the
need air
ground
to
and then
push
the
off.
air.
You don't need air to put. Think if you're on a. Think if you had like one of those Michael J. Fox Back to the Future hoverboards, right? And you had a bowling ball in your hand, and you throw the bowling ball, the bowling ball's gonna go one way. You're gonna get forced a little bit the other way.
Yeah, you're not throwing a solid ball out of your spacecraft. You're throwing gas, which
The gas is
disperses into a
representative
vacuum,
of the.
just as it does when one guy did it with a vacuum cleaner trying to move a car forward or something. Things don't like vacuum.
The gas is representative of the bowling ball. They got a lot of little bowling balls they keep pushing
Cody
out.
tried to represent the storm on Mars from the movie, I don't know what, with George Clooney. So he put his little feather in front of a fan in his vacuum chamber, sucked out enough air to match the NASA version of what the air pressure is on Mars, and turned on his little fan, and the little feather wouldn't move an iota.
All right, but do you understand why they?
Do
you understand the argument? Yeah, but do you understand the argument of why they can move through space? It doesn't. They don't need combustion. They're just
Absolutely
throwing
not.
gas
It's
particles out.
ludicrous. You know, well, you have to go right a bit. You got a jet on the side, a little rocket on the side, and it's going to push against what to twist your nose the other way?
You don't need
Against
something
nothing?
to push off of. I just went through this
Yes,
with the
you
bowling
do
ball
need
and the
something to
skateboard
push off.
example.
Action, no, that's on the ground, and it has no bearing to what we're talking about. Zero bearing.
Yeah, you don't understand arguments because you don't. You know.
There you go with the you don't understand.
You don't. Yeah,
No,
you don't understand the
you
argument
don't
of how it works.
understand that you cannot get force when you push against nothing. Push against the air. Stand on your skateboard and push against the air. You're pushing air. You should move
If you
forward.
throw something off, if I'm on a skateboard
You
and I
should be
throw
able
something off the
to paddle
skateboard,
your
all right.
arms like you're swimming and move through the air on your skateboard. Why can't you? The air doesn't have enough resistance in that
Okay, when you're
instance for you
throwing
to
a bowling
push off
ball,
it. Same
when
with
you're
the
on
vacuum in
all right.
space.
When you're on a
You gonna bring
skateboard,
bowling balls up in space
am
and
I
throw
going to
them
have a
out of your
chance to
plane?
respond or no?
Sure.
When you're on a skateboard and you throw the bowling ball off, you don't have to have anything to push off of. You're throwing the bowling ball one way and you're going the opposite way. It doesn't need something to push off of. You don't understand the Glober argument. I'm not saying you don't understand, but you don't understand their argument of how they move
They're
through
just
space.
retards. They're believing
You don't
delusional
understand their
physical
argument 'cause
concepts. Yes, I do. Don't tell me what I understand and
you
don't.
just demonstrated you don't. You think you need combustion for them to move in space.
Well, they don't believe you. Well, they don't believe that combustion won't work and not push. They believe it works and it pushes. I say it don't even ignite. So
You don't need ignition. They're just throwing
course
gas
not.
molecules out, little bowling balls. They say.
I don't know though. You know, I've heard this
nothing to
this
push on.
story before that they say about throwing the bowling ball off the skateboard, and I've never seen a legitimate practical demonstration like a guy on a giant skateboard throwing 1,000 bowling balls one after the other and it propelling someone at any speed. And I've heard Phil describe this whole thing to me. Honestly, I'm not that convinced. I need to see a practical demonstration of this propellant
If you
inside
stood
a
on a
legit
skateboard
gas
and fired a
chamber,
machine
or,
gun, you'd
some
move
gas
forward
chamber.
a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I mean this is physics. You would move. You don't need to have a combustion for them to move in space.
Yeah.
So
a little
saying
bit.
you can't.
If you were out in space floating around and you lit a stick of dynamite next to you, what would happen?
Probably blow the fuck out of your ship.
Yeah, exactly what happens in a rocket nozzle. There's an explosion and it blows the rocket away.
So there is combustion. All right, my bad. Jim
Well,
Boss. Go ahead.
in the spacecraft where there's air and pressure, you could light your stick of dynamite. Out in the vacuum of space, my friend, you could not. If it was in your quote spacesuit with pressure around and air, you could, but not in the vacuum of space. It will not detonate. It will not ignite. It will not do shit.
If I could
So now you
get
guys
an
are
analogy.
using combustion to move through space. See, their arguments switch so much. I don't even know.
Can I give an analogy where if you've got, let's say, a cup in space, floating around in space with a hand grenade in it. You pull the pin, the hand grenade will obviously blow the cup up, but if you analyze the fragment movements, the vectors on where they're all going, obviously less of the fragments of the cup will go where the cup is open. So the cup obviously has no actual cup there, so it's not going to splash fragments in that direction. Now, if you imagine a hand grenade in a massive silo and do the same thing, it's not going to break away into fragments. Let's just say it can handle the explosion. But what will happen is you'll get a puff out the end of the silo. And then it's exactly that, like a rocket. If you can imagine getting the ISS, putting it in an environment where you can spark something up, and then just creating lots of tiny little explosions, and it just chugs out the back of this cup or the open end, let's say. And all it is the open end's a smaller nozzle, so you get more of a thrust.
But the thrust, so-called thrust, is being absorbed by the vacuum, sucking all the energy away from its ability to move your craft forward.
No.
Yeah, who's the
It can't
Glober in
push
here?
off
Are they?
anything. It's being sucked up and its energy expanded outward into the space and not putting any force against the ship to move it forward.
Okay, who's the Glober in here? Let's hear how they move through space.
Yeah, there's still an explosion. The gases do expand rapidly after it leaves the nozzle, but that explosion happens, and it's like a constant explosion, and it creates propulsion, and it pushes the rocket.
Not in a vacuum, it don't.
Can you demonstrate that in the vacuum?
Well,
They've always told me.
I'm being out on the road so much these days, and since I've kind of gotten into the scene here a little, I've got stuff in my shop. I could make a vacuum chamber and do that, but I just can't seem to get home long enough to do anything.
Well, that'd be
if
cool.
you need
I've always
recipes for your fuels, I can give them to you, send them to you, whatever, how to mix them and stuff, and have fun. You won't get them to ignite with a full vacuum in your chamber. With a 5-watt laser pen, I don't care.
You know, when George was in here, I had talked to him about, he has some contacts, supposedly at, I think, Martin Marietta. And they have a big vacuum chamber, and he was thinking about trying to set something up. I don't know what he had in mind, though, but that's what I would need to see, like a pretty good scale, not a little tiny vacuum chamber like the ones online. This demonstrated in a vacuum chamber, and there's, no other thing that could be propelling it forward except this theory about tossing mass out the back.
Yeah, that's how they describe it to me in GEMS. They describe it as, we're just ejecting mass out of the back, which is giving us forward momentum. And they use the bowling ball with the skateboard example. This guy's saying there's combustion happening. I mean, I can get so many different stories. Who knows?
Yep.
Yeah, gas can't have mass in a vacuum.
We can pick that back up. Let me read a couple super chats here. We did have one come in from Flat Earth Data for $6.99 Canadian. Thanks, Data. Where do you think Flat Earth fits in with the social credit score? We are for truth, right? So we should have high marks. I don't know. I don't think that's how it's gonna work out, Data. Esteban Ilabaca for 1,000 CLP. Thanks, Esteban. Get on a skateboard and use fire extinguisher. Done. So I think the problem with that is, are you doing it in a vacuum chamber?
Yeah, that'd be your problem there.
Yeah.
It demonstrates the principle, but it's not in a vacuum chamber.
I mean, imagine if you were in an astronaut suit inside a vacuum chamber and you had the skateboard and the bowling ball. I didn't know, are they saying it's combustion or not? I just thought they were ejecting mass out of the back.
Yeah, it seems like they go between both, right? Because they're saying, well, we exploded out the back and we're shooting mass out, but then I just don't understand.
Tanks of oxygen that they're oxidizing it with. They're squirting oxygen into it to create this explosion, tiny explosions, which are a mass to create a massive explosion.
You know what would
control.
work in a vacuum chamber? You know the old fire extinguishers with the soda ash and the cylinder of acid? You flip them upside down, and the acid mixes with the solution, and they pump out a whole ton of water. Those would, in a vacuum, spin around, dance around till the pressure was gone. There's no internal combustion. There's no flame, no heat source, kind of. It's very physical. Ejecting flame out the back and gas? Nah.
All right. Interesting. We had a super chat from Aaron Armstrong who says, "Well done, Gleam. You were great against Fight the Flat Earth." So there you go. You get lots of kudos on that performance. So that was good. We had a couple people join, I think, since I last checked who was in here. Gently's channel. What's up, Gently's channel?
How you going, bud?
Good. How are you?
Oh, marvelous.
All right. Patient Zero. Aaron, what's up, man? You working or talking tonight? I think he's working. Take that as working. And everybody else looks like they've been in here. So, who's got something on their mind they want to talk about?
I just want to say sorry to Jimbo because you get so many different stories from him, man. Who the fuck knows? It's constant double. I got a guy to double speak in 2 sentences earlier, so my bad.
I did find a Glober girl who does reviews. She's got 1 million subscribers. She reviewed Flat Earth music, and it's not really a bad review. In the end, she really liked Flat Earth music. And she's sort of confused by everything, says she should have studied it more. And anyway, I thought it was kind of nice. I think she did it about a month ago, but I only found it yesterday.
You ever see that video? You ever see that video, Round and Curvy?
Oh yeah,
so
yeah.
Like tried
Sounds funny.
Yeah, it's pretty
It's
funny.
A good one. It's a good one.
You know, there's a good song that came out. Chocolate Saiyan, who's always on Nathan's show. He put out a rap song. I believe it is on Adam Meekin's channel, but I was gonna play it, but evidently it's got some music in it that will get the channel a strike possibly, so I can't play it on here. But it was really actually pretty good.
Witsit came out with
is good.
Witsit came out with a good rap. I don't know. He was playing it.
Me. A lot of music I never heard that Flat Earth music and musicians and stuff, which is kind of cool, you know.
Witsit's rap was awesome. Witsit was in Gems. He's like, you guys can't even rebuttal my rap.
Yeah, there's a lot of talented people in Flat Earth. Quite a few musicians, for sure. Gleam is one of them.
Even an engineer in optics with a PhD.
Oh. Thank you, Aaron, as well. Salute.
Well. Okay. Well, you guys are awfully quiet tonight.
Well, you want to hear something funny?
Oh, yeah, please.
Listen to this. I was looking at the name of the particles and how they name them. Check this out. They have these, what they call hypothetical particles. And here are some of the names that they want to name them. Chargino, Gluino, Gravitino, Higgsino, Neutralino, Fotino. I could go on, but you get the point, right?
Yeah, and they will find them because they're looking for them. And somehow we can make anything we're looking for manifest, even at the subatomic particle. I mean, we thought about mesons, muons, and heavy leptons, and guess what? We built machines, and all these wise guys made numbers and had, blips on machines and said, wow, there's the neutron the meson we were looking for. There's the nutrion. There's, the heavy lepton. Wow, we're so good.
Exactly, bro. That's what I was going to say. And I bet you they're going to find them. You stole my thunder. Yeah.
Yeah, if you get a grant to go looking for something, like say you get a grant and you're getting a lot of money to find gravity waves. If you don't find gravity waves eventually, you're not going to get any more funding. They're not going to just fund you forever.
It's like those stories of NASA shooting a laser at the moon with a 1 billion-watt laser and getting one photon back and saying, oh, that photon is from the reflector on the moon. Proves we got one there. with everything being one electron, how do you distinguish that from the zillions of other electrons that are coming through? Really?
Yeah, somebody was trying to. I was debating somebody on that the other day, and they were trying to say they got 10% of the photons back. I'm like, dude, it's way less than that. I couldn't find it, the number, but I knew it was lower than even a 1%, because they're firing trillions.
Back in the late 60s, NASA was claiming they had this orbiting, satellite around the moon that used radar or laser to map the surface. Really? And you need a reflector on Earth to do it now? And they had a ship that was doing it before? Curious. They certainly seem to forget their past works.
So, SE, I was listening last night in the after show, way later. You were having a discussion with Andy M., I think it is, about Einstein and special and general relativity and space-time. And the way you broke it down to him, that blew my mind because it was so painfully obvious how crazy all of it sounded. Did you ever get anywhere with him last night?
Oh no, I gave up after a while. It's like you're talking to a brick wall, you know?
Yeah.
When you go into the twin paradox and time dilation, and it's like fantasy.
He's a new glober. He's only been around a couple months.
So,
Hey, SC, what did you say that?
What's that? Gently, go ahead.
I wasn't speaking, my friend, but you carry on, boys.
Okay. Well, we've got a couple of globers here, Left Lane, and let's see, who else is a glober on the panel? The Left Lane.
I'm also a glober.
Okay, Gently. One question that you asked him last night, SE, was what is space-time? Can you show me space-time? And no matter how many times I have it described to me, it doesn't make any sense to me what it is. It seems like it's a concept mixed with another concept that has no basis in reality whatsoever. I can't wrap my mind around it. Can anybody explain what the hell exactly space-time is?
I mean, time is just a convention we use to measure the passing of, moments.
I can give it a go. Basically, you got your X, Y, and Z coordinates, yeah, and that's basically it. You grab them and you combine them with time intimately, in as much as time is not separate to them. So the fourth dimension just becomes the 3 X, Y, and Z and time.
So I'm going to be at the train station at 6:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. Is that space-time?
No, because you haven't given your coordinates.
All right,
there's a visual.
Coordinates.
It's both the coordinates and the time.
It's 50 north by 48 south at 6:30 a.m.
Yep.
That's space-time.
That will be it. But the relativistic part is now you are comparing your coordinates and your time with somebody else's over the other side of the world or universe, wherever.
So I'm here, you're there, we compare them. That's space-time.
Yeah. That is space-time, and it's the comparison. And if you take it as, that it takes 8 minutes for a photon leaving the sun to reach Earth, that is the thing. There would be a time difference between me and you, seeing me and seeing you, but there is also a time difference if we're both moving independently. Which
Well
is
said.
The inertia.
Let me put it another way, bro. Picture we have a stick, right? We have a stick 100 feet long. As soon as I push it and it touches, it'll touch immediately on the other side, right? Whatever's there, right? We could all understand that? Now, in their fantasy, if we have a stick 93 million miles long and we push it, it's going to take 8 minutes before the other tip touches the sun.
Yeah, that's if the shockwave moves at the speed of light.
That's fantasy, bro.
Wait, so I've got my stick. I reach out my stick to touch the sun, and what?
And it takes 8 minutes for it, even if you're right next to the sun, right?
Yeah.
It takes 8 minutes for that action to happen in their world.
Why would that
Are you
happen?
talking about a stick from the sun to Earth?
Yeah.
No, longer than 8 minutes. They say it only travels at the speed of sound. You could essentially have both people pulling on the stick or pushing on it, and either one of them would know it only travels at the speed of sound. It's not as fast as light, I don't think.
Well, we're assuming now that we're giving it to them. It's at the speed of light, whatever, you know?
Yeah.
In their mind, it takes 8 minutes for that to happen.
Even though it's
So
instant.
what's the problem with that?
Instant, yeah, of course.
That doesn't make any sense to me. Something happens when it happens, no matter where you're looking at it from. Now, maybe it takes the sound or the light some time to get to you, but that doesn't mean it happened when the sound or the light gets to you. It means that's how long it took that to get to you, right?
Well, think about this. If you ever hit a tree with a baseball bat and it sting your hand.
Yeah, I guess.
All right. Say if that bat was like 10 feet long, there would be a delay in the amount of time it took from you hitting that tree to you feeling it in the handle.
Well, yeah, that's the time it takes the vibrations to travel up the stick and, impact me, right?
That's it.
So there's
Yes, sir.
nothing
That's the same thing.
magical about that, right? It's just the time it takes waves to travel, vibrations, light.
Don't try to use logic here. You have to go into La La Land, and then everything makes sense.
You could have the stick could be made of like titanium that you could never pull apart, but the guy on the Earth and the guy on the sun could both be pulling it for like a long time before anyone. I don't know what happens in the middle. It's a thought experiment, but
Exactly.
Am I supposed to understand this, or is this something that people just say they understand? Because I have no clue what you guys are talking about.
Basically, length contraction. That's what that is.
Yeah, tell me more about length contraction.
Well, that is the physical body. If you get something up to the speed of light or near the speed of light, let's say, you would see around it. I mean, I think the best thing to do is that if I can load up a YouTube video, there's loads of people who have done it, and it's what it would look like from a photon's point of view traveling at the speed of light, and it's like so much red shifting, blue shifting going on. But give me a second.
Yeah. Let's take a look at it. See if
it is weird.
Something can make it make sense. Now, obviously, I've heard about length contraction before, that the actual length of things contract. Personally, I've never witnessed that. I don't know if anybody else has witnessed it, but
yeah, you won't at all. It's only at extreme scales. So it's mainly there for I mean, it was for electrons at the very small scale, but it's mainly there for very massive scales. If you give me a second, let me share my screen now.
Sure thing. All right, I'll share. Watch your screen.
I think the core thought experiment from Einstein was the trains, where there was a lightning strike on each side of the train. This isn't actually the one that I was watching the other day. That was a lot better. But it's basically, yeah, there it is. Yeah, just watch this instead of hearing my chat. So what they're doing is they've set up just a standard highway and done it as traveling at 10 meters per second and then gradually incrementing it. So if you can see,
it's really poor quality. Is there
Oh, they've only got 240.
Maybe we can see the road, but that's about it. If there's any
I don't know
details we
whether there's
need.
another version of this on there because it did look better. But if you can see, you could actually see obviously distortion on the side here. But if we went back just slightly a little bit, you can see a little bit around the back of it, and that's what's due to length contraction. Let me do Einstein's train. Because what they're saying is that if a train is moving and lightning, yeah, let's say the train's moving in that direction, lightning hits here and here, okay, so at the same time. Now, because everything's moving forwards on the train, normally logic says that this speed of light going this direction is going to be slower. It's going to take longer for this light to catch up with the observer, let's say who's in the middle, than it will for this lightning bolt coming down here, because you're moving towards the light and then it's got less time to travel. Now, what happens and what is recorded in reality is that the observer sees both light at the speed of light. Therefore, the discrepancy between this forward momentum as well as this catching up with that, the whole system, the length of it makes it equal. So equal length going this direction, equal length going this direction. And all I can explain it as is that as soon as there's motion, things squash up. If you go at the speed of light, this would be near on a square, let's say. That is how is explained in its layman's term. Yeah, but as a normal object, it's like this. If you get close to a black hole, it will squash up. Not spaghettification or anything like that. Before you even get to the black hole, traveling at the speed of light, it will squash right up.
So the actual object will squash up, or the light?
Yeah, the physical object. Yeah, the actual physics of an object will squash up when it gets closer to the speed of light. But the whole thing about it, and the whole thing about Einstein's relativity, is exactly this. You put a limit on the speed of light, and then you have Lorenz's transforms to take fictitious time, let's say, and put it into a real situation. Because, of course, if you have an observer here and the train's going past them, the lightning comes down and it reaches that observer at the same time. So you can't have a violation between the two. The two must see the speed of light at the speed of light. Now, I'm no physicist, so I've probably explained it wrong, but there is a Ranty, I think his name is from memory. Yeah. Ranty does a very good run through. He does a college level, then a university level, and then a PhD level on every single thing. And this is the main guy I've learned it from.
Interesting. Well, I'll have to check it out. I've never really dived into this stuff in depth because it just seems so ludicrous on the face of it. But I know you've studied it quite a bit, Gleam.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole thing it's based around the maths of how electromagnetic wave works. And that's all I can say.
Gleam, how would you begin to address that concept? Since you've studied it and looked at it, how have you processed and scrutinized the information?
The time dilation thing I get, because that is just the difference in between where you select your initial observer reference frame from, and then everything is relative from therein. the length contraction's a bit more difficult, and exactly what Brandon says is
Well, doesn't that go back to what Lorenz? Okay, so the whole thing that you talked about earlier in the discussion with Lorenz was, he responded by presenting a contraction. My question that I have had is, was the contraction observed or was it imagined?
Imagined, and he
Of,
admits
of
it.
course, right. No, I get that. Right. But see, we have to.
Don't they say?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Don't they say that LIGO does this every time a gravity wave hits it, and they measure it to 1/10,000th the width of a proton or something?
See, that's a bit different. I've seen a lecture on that saying that they force the outcome because what they use is noise templates to filter out all types of noise. And it just so happened that the actual frequency that they caught the detection on was the one that they didn't filter on.
Well, before we get into that, let's
Yeah.
let I don't know if Travis was done with his line of questioning.
Well, it's just a matter. It's just really a matter of trying to do the reduction to absurdity, right? So if you if you don't have an observation, if you don't have a physical demonstration, but you have a concept, you can make that concept do whatever the hell you want. You don't have to observe it. You just have to describe it, draw it, and give it some symbols that you call maths. So, when I was just looking at what Gleam was showing us with the train and whatnot, and the contraction, right, Brandon? I think you asked the question, right? Are you saying that the physical is getting contracted? Okay, well then that's just a concept. So the thing that I was going to say was we should all just start watching Interstellar right now, because Interstellar touches on a lot of these things and does it visually as well, right? So a matter of Hollywoodizing La La Land. No one's observed a black hole contracting an object ever. So
no one's observed it at all. They
Yeah.
constructed it.
No, I get that. Right. It's a construction. It's an idea, but I don't know what to say.
No, I agree. It's a fictitious thing that they've created in imagination, and I mean, I would agree with you wholeheartedly on that statement. If we were to go down that line of they've created an imaginary thing and everything matches up with that, but reality does actually fit that mathematics.
Of course it does, because you have GPS. You have GPS, right?
Yeah, I mean that's on a small scale around Earth as well, though. On a larger scale, it doesn't.
Yeah, see, a lot of this I don't understand, can't wrap my head around it, but it does not mean to me that it's all fake and fictitious and made up stuff. We have technology that works based on these concepts.
How so, Left Lane? Well, what technology do we have based on this idea that he just showed us?
Speed of light and things like that. GPS's work and
We're talking about the contraction of physical objects.
See, that's that part. I have no idea. Cannot
That's
comment.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about radio. I'm not talking about GPS. I'm talking about the contraction of a physical object. So I was going to ask Gleam, because Gleam affirmed that the maths does work in reality. So what did you have in mind, Gleam? What do you mean?
It works to an extent. You know how they always say, oh yeah, Einstein's wasn't superseded by Newton's. It was like an addition. They're a subset of each other.
Yeah.
It's a similar thing. Put it this way, Einstein's exact equations fail at large distances. So they can't be the absolute correct understanding. However, the maths works for the model, let's say. So it describes things like it allowed Einstein to predict gravitational waves, even though the confirmation is ambiguous on that. But it allows predictions and then allows you to then say, yeah, well, that predicted that, so that has validity, that has predictive power.
Okay, so can you help me understand how at least what the the peg that I'm trying to hang on right now is the contraction of something that's physical. So what in your mind or in what you're thinking of in reality demonstrates that?
The only thing I could say is mass and light, mass versus light. Obviously, and then you have to adopt the actual philosophy that nothing can travel faster than the speed of light, which is the basis of relativity, or the second postulate. So light is massless, and therefore it can just travel at the speed of light. But then you start adding mass onto it. In order to reach the speed of light, you need to lose mass, if you get that. Or is that just speaking in tongues? Because that did sound a bit backwards even in my end.
Okay, so my question would be, was the loss of mass observed, or was it a
No.
construct of the idea?
Again, a construct. All
well,
of
then
the
the
contraction,
right.
The time dilation thing was more of a calculation, even though it was like a prediction beforehand and then confirmed later. Ives and Stilwell, I think, done that. But the contraction, the length contraction, is purely a mathematical construct, nothing more. Has evidence for it, but it was originally just made up to explain the Michelson-Morley experiment.
Yeah, I don't understand why we're discussing this then.
Yeah, it's a mathematical construct, same as space-time. Yeah, it is space-time. Space-time is mass. Is the maths of the medium, let's say, of space.
Yeah, I just don't see any. I mean, you're saying there's a practical application in GPS, and I think I've heard about the cesium clocks before, but nothing I've heard has really impressed me as, yeah, this is a part of my reality. This means something concrete. Maybe the math works. It's possible that the math works. It doesn't mean all the variables are named correctly and that the relationships are real relationships. I don't know. Yeah, why are we talking about this?
GPS, albeit within the maths, has to have length contraction. It's because it's on a smaller scale, on such a small scale, and we're talking very low velocities. You won't ever witness it. You won't ever understand that. But GPS works because of the time dilation side, which is more of basically, if you think of one satellite pinging out, it hits a ground base station, and then you've got another satellite 100 miles away doing the same thing. All that's allowing them to do is say, right, at the speed of light, that then means that this satellite is in that location, that satellite is in that location, and the velocity they're traveling at, based on multiple of these, they're going to be there in a couple of minutes or something, or they're going to cross paths in a couple of minutes. So it's the time dilation that makes GPS work rather than length contraction.
I missed the time dilation part of that. It sounds like there's a signal coming from them. The receiver, gets the signals and can calculate based on whatever the speed of light is, where the signal is coming from.
I think the best way to put this is, if you imagine there's the clock for Earth starts from the core. If you put a clock from Earth and we start everything from the core, if you say that from the surface, time is, let's say, at 0, we'll reset it at 0. So all the time is normal on the surface, but every mile that you go up, a second changes because you're further away from that clock, and your orbit around the Earth is taking a lot longer to get the same circle. So if you get that, if you've got a satellite that's a mile high, I know this is unrealistic, but one that's a mile high, one that's 2 miles high, then there's going to be some sort of difference in time taken between the two when you compare the two. And that is exactly what Lorentz transforms undoes. It says, right, get this time from this one. How does that compare to that one in that frame? So it compares the two frames. But that's the easiest way of explaining it. That time, you know, the twin paradox is that NASA has a twin on Earth and a twin up in the space station, and he's 3.3 milliseconds, whatever it is, older. That's because going around Earth in the ISS takes a lot longer time, even though it is a lot quicker in the orbit. But based on Earth time, he is a lot younger now, or a lot older, whichever way around it is. It's confusing, but that's how I understand it in layman's terms. I'm not saying I'm a professional at all. It's just from what I gather from it.
Okay.
I'm not going to be it.
And does any of it have anything to do on the shape of the Earth? Is it tied intricately with what shape the Earth is?
Well, wouldn't it have to be, because if if you're traveling around in a circle, the farther away you are, that increases your distance. But if you're flying, if you are in a satelloon that's at 50,000 feet above the Earth, that's going to maintain the same latitude all the way across. It's not going to have a farther distance. It's always going to be 50,000 feet up or whatever. But like Gleam is saying, that if you're going to put that on a sphere, if the Earth is spinning and the satellite is rotating around the Earth, then the farther you go or the closer you go, that's going to change your speed. So it does depend on that construct. But again, the question becomes, did they guess? Did they imagine that's going to happen, right? Because we all know what a merry-go-round looks like, right? We all know about angular momentum. The closer you are to the center, you spin faster. The farther away, you move slower, but you've got the same rotation. Okay, we all know that. All they're doing now is saying, well, if the Earth is a sphere and it spins, and the farther, then that's got to be the same thing. So then that's the same. That all they're doing is projecting out something that we can look at on a small scale, and then they're extrapolating that and creating it in a sphere, and then imagining that if you're moving faster but slower, then wow, wouldn't that mean that you're going to be 3.3 whatever? They just, again, it wasn't observed, it was thought to be.
Yeah, that's kind of the impression I got too. Now, SE Montreal, having heard Andy describe it last night, and now Gleam, thank you for attempting to make me understand at least what the heck all that means. SE, does that clear anything up for you compared to the description we got from Andy?
Give me 2 seconds to put my headpiece on.
Sure. Yeah, it's just it's a really confusing concept because there's nothing concrete about it. It sounds like that you can hold, touch, feel, see. And this whole thing with twins sounds like time travel to me. I don't know why people would experience time differently at different locations, regardless of what the hell's going on around them or how fast they're going. That doesn't make any sense. It goes against everything we experience. Now, I'm not saying
there's Globers that don't buy that either. It's a little far fetched.
Yeah, right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I'd like to answer what you said. Yeah, Gleam does a fantastic job of explaining stuff. I read whatever Gleam said. It's all there. You guys could go read it. I've read it many, many times. I'm not as eloquent of explaining it like Gleam is, but he's spot on. The bottom line is they make shit up. They take a concept called time, they mesh it up with a fabric, and they break something into existence. And this time dilation stuff with the aging, it works two ways. Gravitational field, they say, that you age slower, and travel near the speed of light. I mean, they just make shit up.
Yeah, sounds like it too. Like some far-fetched mathematical concepts. And you have to be so deep in it to just understand it. I don't really think this is something you can casually understand. Like you said, you've read the books, you've read the papers, etc. And Gleam, you've been studying it a lot, and it's still kind of confusing, but whatever.
You know, you said something interesting, Brandon, and I gotta compliment Gleam on this, because me, I go to a certain point, and once I say, "Oh, this is bull," I stop reading. But Gleam goes into it all the way, like so. Yeah, I love that, man. Good stuff.
Yeah, he jumps in feet first, that's for sure. That's cool.
Yeah, if I share my screen, this is Lorentz, who was the core proponent of the transforms. He was a professor at the University of Leiden, and they put this on the side of the actual university. And that is just literally showing, I don't know whether it's representing a ball or something like that, but it is exactly that, a ball when it's going at the speed of light this direction. And it's again, it's close to the speed of light. It's got no application in everyday life.
Yeah, people don't realize Gleam, that they actually think that ball is gonna actually expand. Sorry, it's actually gonna expand when it travels at near the speed of light. Actual expansion. It's insanity.
So that's what's happening here on the left. It's kind of skinny, and then as it goes, or in the middle, it's around. It's a ball.
Yeah, in any direction. It's just saying in any direction it goes. If it reaches a fraction of the speed of light, or just coming up to it.
Wait a minute, Gleam. Don't they say that it expands? It's showing shrinkage here.
Yeah, no, it will expand when it gets to a black hole, and if it gets to the horizon of a black hole, then it will start to spaghettify and open up and explode.
Spaghetti. It's called spaghettification.
Yeah.
That's absolutely insane. I mean, is that supposed to conjure up your mind noodles in a boiling pot? What is that supposed to mean? Spaghetti.
Like breaking apart. You break apart. That's what I think.
Okay, but again, spaghetti are long strands of pasta. So I don't get it. Why are you choosing spaghetti? Because again, that was why I said, are we supposed to imagine a boiling pot of spaghetti
with marinara sauce?
Is that the real term?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spaghettification. I didn't make that up. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a real term.
Yep.
Event Horizon. Yeah.
Which actually was a really good movie, but
yeah.
So let's go back to the Lorentz contraction with the original experiment, right? So there was a physical object on Earth that's allegedly supposed to have contracted. Is that correct?
Yeah, if it reaches the speed of light, yeah, or near about.
Okay. So how did this object on the Earth reach the speed of light?
It would have to be a radio wave or something that travels at the speed of light or something. Yeah.
They made that up, Travis, because the arm had to shrink in order for the experiment.
I understand that. I'm just trying to. I'm trying to ask
fire
it.
CERN.
Yeah.
CERN can get 99.99%, whatever it is, of the speed of light. So that's what they're doing. They're in one round at the speed of light, and then they'll the other around the opposite direction, and then they'll open the gateway, let's say, and it will crash them both into each other.
And what you're showing on screen, this is the guy falling into a black hole?
Yeah, the spaghettification.
Oh, come on, man. This is not serious, right?
Effect. It's called the noodle effect.
This is for real, bro.
This looks like some shit out of a Scientology book or something.
You gotta watch Interstellar.
We see this all the time.
It's really good.
See this all the time. Well, what I was going to say with SE mentioned all them names earlier about the new particles, and every single one of them was Italian. So is the Italians taken over?
Huh.
Like spaghettification and neutrino and.
I think next month it's the Japanese part of the ISS, so they're gonna name things Japanese style.
The grotto.
Oh, that's funny. Let me read this super chat here. It's been a while. Flat Earth data. Special relative time and place has to have sigma 1 in the equation. You cannot do multiple masses at once. 3 question marks. Sigma 1. Not sure what that's Greek to me, but maybe Gleam, you understand that.
Sigma is Greek to you. That is hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, Sigma is Greek, isn't it? I thought it was actually Greek.
Yeah, that was
But
the joke.
Sigma-
That's the joke I meant, Gleam,
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
The Sigma 1, I'm clueless as well. I'm no scientist, but Sigma I thought was the actual level of how you qualify how good your theory is. Like if you get a Sigma 5, that means that your theory is very good, apparently.
Oh, yeah, it's the number of standard deviations from the
Yeah.
mean, right? Something like that.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Gotcha.
I don't know why are you saying Sigma 1 though?
Yeah,
Why
I
it
don't know.
requires Sigma 1.
Maybe he'll have to come on sometime and let us know what he's talking about. We got another super chat from Aaron Armstrong. Jimbo doesn't believe in jet propulsion in space, but does believe in a 3,000-mile long seahorses. Jimbo, any comment there? Thanks, Aaron. No, Jimbo's not there? All right. All right, thanks, Aaron. We'll get him to respond when he comes back.
Well, yeah, I could comment that I actually only said it looks like one. I didn't say it is one.
Yeah, I literally went into Gems just now to check on the combustion with the rockets thing, and they said, yeah, there is combustion happening. They create a chamber or an area with the oxygen that they bring up and then ignite it out of that.
Yeah, they also say that the mass. You ask him what does it push off? Well, they say, well, the fuel itself is the mass that it pushes off of.
You don't
I've
need
heard
anything to push off of. It's like the skateboard and the bowling ball thing. Well, if you have the combustion, I guess that you don't need like a
Look,
wall to push.
Jeremy, I've seen both things on YouTube. I want to do a hands-on myself. It doesn't make sense to me, but I've seen both in the chamber, and one it pushed, one it didn't. But the one it pushed, it looked like it was close to the wall. So I don't know. For me, the jury's out. But
Well, Cody
I don't
did
know.
too. In the second one, he had to cheat to make his little rockets work in his pseudo vacuum. So
I seen that. Yeah.
The proof is what it is.
I thought about this. I thought about this too, SE, and as soon as that, if you can get it to ignite, those gases fill that chamber really like instantaneous, so they'd be pushing off that.
Is also the question, Brandon, of the ignition itself, because what Cody did, he did various, like Jimbo was saying, various types of things, and they wouldn't ignite. They just would not ignite. Highly flammable things. So.
Yeah, but were they injecting oxygen into it though? Because that's what they claim to be doing.
Well, he tried.
With NASA.
He tried a rocket one, if I'm not. Maybe Jimbo remembers.
Peroxide is a high explosive. It has
Yeah.
all its own oxygen. The solid rocket fuel is made with potassium nitrate or sodium nitrate. It has all the excess oxygen it needs to do the combustion of the sugars. Same with the solid rocket fuel or the black powder. It has its own supply of oxygen. All those three things do.
But NASA is claiming to be bringing up extra oxygen so that it has something to combust with.
Yeah, it's got a tank of propellant and a tank of oxygen.
Yeah, well, when they had their solid rocket fuel, the thiokol, I think it needed what they call the oxygen for combustion. But they also were apparently just using oxygen and hydrogen as fuel in big tanks. So I don't know, WTF. The solid rocket boosters were supposed to be this I forget, I just named it anyway there. And what, it's all bullshit, man. It's just, it doesn't work if you can't ignite a high explosive in a vacuum that has all the fuel it needs to detonate, not just burn and combust. It should detonate. It's a high explosive, and it does not. These peroxides will not detonate in a vacuum.
I feel like it's not the same because NASA's taking oxygen and injecting it into the place that's going to combust right before it happens. So that way it's like not in a vacuum at that point where the combustion happens.
And it's going out into a sucking force so tremendous, it boils the blood right out your skin. It takes away all that energy without applying it to any physical object to push off it.
I'm not buying this either. I'm just saying this is what they say.
They can say it all they want. It don't make it so. I could say I started the Chicago fire. It doesn't make it true.
I hear you.
Yeah, I see. Bob, Globebusters Bob is going back and forth with a couple people about this ignition in a vacuum thing too. The propulsion in a vacuum.
The thing is, it's not in a vacuum. They claim that it's not in a vacuum when they're doing it. When they're making the combustion happen, they have an area where they fill it with oxygen, then combust it, and then it shoots out the back. So it's like almost not in a vacuum anymore. That's what they're saying. I mean, so.
But what does shooting it out the back do? I mean, they're just throwing it out. Then why are they combusting it if they're throwing it out the back?
The higher the velocity. Okay, let's say you're on a skateboard and you just drop the bowling
throw it
ball.
faster, it'll go faster. Is that what they're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The more velocity you have to the mass that you throw out, the more force you're gonna get.
Huh.
Which is legit. Because think about if you're on the skateboard and you just like drop it off the back, as opposed to like trying to throw it with all your might.
Yeah, shit. I don't care how plausible it sounds. I want to see it. But yeah. So hey Travis, I mean it as you've been on the road lately, or I've been checking on your channel. I haven't seen anything new up there in a while. You taking a break or what?
Yeah. I mean, I have been on the road. They've picked up a different delivery that's put me out 5 days. So I have been looking at stuff that's in my back catalogs and all that kind of stuff, but I just haven't put out anything worthwhile just yet. So.
Okay, you've been able to get out and do any observations?
I did go out over the weekend looking at the Chesapeake Bay, but it's all just a lot of the same stuff that I've already shot. So anything else right now really has to get upgraded to a team level where I got people out on boats, people with gauges and contraptions and all this kind of stuff, and that's not going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, yeah, I was just wondering about that.
Yep.
Well, does anybody have any new videos or anything that they want to promote or talk about, or any ideas? It's kind of an open.
I mean,
I'm
in upstate New York, so I mean, if you needed the help doing something in the Chesapeake, I could possibly. It's tough because I got kids, but.
Oh, there you go. Well, yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. It's just a matter of it's not just coming out and doing it one day. You know what I mean? It's the observations, the observations that I've done. Just take for instance, when I went out 17 days in January, right? So just imagine doing that, but with 5 to 10 different people and taking measurements and logging data. I mean, and then reviewing that data. It's not a one and done thing. There's no way.
I hear you.
So, but I do appreciate that. I mean, it'd be great to just be able to kick something out in a day, but.
Oh, I'd like to say something else. If anyone knows where there's a canal near them where the water's not flowing, that has a wall up against this non-flowing water, like let me know if you got one, how long it is. Thanks.
Okay, you're talking for your line experiment or measurement or
Yeah.
test, whatever we're
Yeah,
calling it.
we're trying to draw a line on a wall.
Yep.
Yeah. We just
You
need
want
a
to see if
canal
the
wall.
water curves, if it has
We just
surface
need.
tension? Is that
What's
what you
up?
want to see, Jeremy?
We want to just draw a horizontal line on a wall somehow. I don't know how we're going to draw the line yet, but we want to draw a horizontal line on a wall.
Okay.
And yeah, we're going to see if the water is curving under it or not.
I knew it. You might see surface tension, but it depends how
No,
big
there
the.
ain't going to be no. We're going to go out a mile, 2 miles, as
Oh,
far as we
okay,
can
okay,
go.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm
I don't
gonna
know how
blow
long canal walls are or whatever, but
Gonna blow some herb smoke in its face as well, so there'll be no tension. It'll all be cool.
Ganja man. Smoky
Jeremy,
the
I'm not trying
ganja.
to rain on your parade, but you don't need a physical wall because what you're doing to make that line is exactly what we're doing a horizontal. It's just your top of your stake is the top of your line, right? So you can use stakes to do the same thing. That's your wall. That's your line.
yeah, I want to do something a little different and try to take out the optical part of it, and that's why I don't know how we're gonna draw the line yet. But all we gotta do is figure out how to draw a straight line.
I got you.
Yeah.
But to Rakia's point, if you're doing it next to the canal and you use stakes and you put the stake at the level that you measure it at, I don't think that's optical because you could just measure down from the water to the top of the stake at each end. You wouldn't have to have a full wall then.
I'd like to give Jeremy an idea. Jeremy, you don't need like a 2 mile straight line. You can, like, if you had something light, like maybe even styrofoam that you could connect together, like say 16 feet or so. It'd be tedious as shit, but you could pick up, like you could lay a couple, like some kind of light wall that's movable. Get a few of them, like even a 20-foot line that's drawn straight, right? And you could alternate them, like you could overlap the line, and then you could pick up the last line, like you could line up 3 of them, right? And then you could take the last one and move it down to the end. In other words, you wouldn't need a continuous 2 mile line. You could keep alternating the lines that you're not using no more. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, like taking basically like just taking a ruler or a spirit level and just using it as a straight edge and just overlapping it a little bit on the last line.
Yeah, exactly, man. But it'd take something light. Like I was thinking, like styrofoam, sheets of that. I don't know. I'd have to think on that. But yeah, you wouldn't need, for anybody out there thinking it'd be impossible. It really wouldn't, because as you keep going and going and going, you could, the ones that you're not using move to the front, right?
I mean, yeah, just if we're gonna overlap it and stuff, like we got a bunch of different ways we've been brainstorming on how to draw the line, but I mean, yeah, if anybody wants to come in, we got a Discord room devoted just for this, so hit me up if you're interested.
Where is that at?
I'll send you the link.
Okay, you're gonna post it, and you're gonna send it where?
I'll post it in general.
Okay.
I'll pop
Alright,
it
I
in
gotta
the
go. I
YouTube
just
chat
wanted-
if anybody wants it.
I just wanted to jump in and add that these ideas, man, we put our heads together, we come up with something, but come time to do it, man, it's so tedious. I tried doing it with string lines, and we made it like half a mile, and we're like, screw this, man, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And,
I mean,
you need help. Let me just say it like that.
This room ain't for debating or nothing. This is just only brainstorming on how we're gonna, make a horizontal line on a wall, or something to that effect.
And before I go, I want to comment about the rockets in space. They try and compare it to bullets, like Gleam's comparison with the cup and the explosion. Look, if you're comparing bullets with a gun, then the gun would be the rocket, and it wouldn't hardly go no. You might be able to get. Let me just boil it down. If you're using the already combusted, fuel already combusted in its own chamber, and then using the expelling that, and that's all you're going to get is push. You're pushing into what's already sucking it out, and you're not throwing bowling balls. You can get solid separation in space. You can separate one stage from another, and like a bullet from a gun. You get solid separation all day. Okay, but as far as gas, the gas is what's being sucked to begin with. So in other words, if you took a rocket chamber, if you took a chamber, okay, and it was filled with whatever, okay, air or fuel, okay, and you open it in space, it's all going to get sucked out, right? If there's a bullet sitting in that chamber, and the bullet is just going to sit there, okay, unless the air sucks it out. Basically, the air ain't going to suck the bullet out. The vacuum is not going to suck the bullet out unless the air pushes it. So you can't compare bullets. You can't compare solid separation like a bowling ball on a skateboard. That's a retarded comparison. Plus, you got the friction of the wheels touching the ground. I wish I had a little bit more time to make a little more sense of this, but yeah, I'm in the camp that no way. They're not getting. They can maybe barely sputter in space with in a vacuum, if that. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Brian.
I wanted to say something about the test. When I did mine, I thought it was going to be cool because it was actually in water. We were going to have, we were using jet skis and boats and, had a bunch of people, family and friends, like we all spend time at the camp together. And it turned into a nightmare, right? It's just all day it sucked, right? It seemed like fun. It seemed like it was going to be easy stuff that we do daily. We're used to the equipment, we're used to driving stakes, but it ended up being not fun, right? And it was supposed to be fun, but the test ended up being, it turned out exactly how what we thought. Even people who are not FE thought that water would not show drop. You see what I'm saying?
Ahead of time, they thought it wouldn't show drop.
Right, and they're still not convinced that it's, not a sphere, but they know that water isn't dropping. You see what I'm saying? There's a big difference.
How far did you go again, Rakia?
Almost 3 miles, 2 3/4.
And you said
we were going 3 miles.
No drop at all?
I mean, I would say, I said a half inch. The most we kind of like came up with was 3/4. Because you have different people going back and checking, like, this 600 foot is right, okay, let's go another 200 foot. And then, people were at different stages doing different things and checking them with different levels, just to double check and make sure everything was right. You see what I'm saying? Like, redundancy. Because we didn't want to have to do it again. If we got to the end, so when we got to a mile, there should have been 8 inches and there wasn't nothing. Then we started lengthening our distance in between the stakes because it was easier. It was easier. I checked. So, I think that's where we got a little inaccurate, after the first mile. But it was only a half inch over 2 3/4 miles. Now, after the second mile, we went even further. We were going 600 and 700 foot in between just to get it over with. Because if you don't have it within 2 miles, what's going to change? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys were leapfrogging too, right?
Yeah, well, we did it several different ways. We leapfrogged. We were doing back to front, and then when we were like get off to the side and shoot over long distances, we would shoot at an angle over long distances, and on that we had a real clear day and calm. So theoretically, we were getting 500 and 600 foot shots that were accurate. Usually, you can't do that, especially over water. It was just a nice day, a good day to do it. No wind. It was just barely a little breeze, but nothing blowing, it just seemed to be a good day to be able to measure longer than 300 foot. Now, when I'm on a job site, I don't let my guys go over 300 foot in a one shot. You see what I'm saying? If we have a 300 foot or a 600 foot run, we're going to set up in the middle and shoot both ways. And then we're going to double back. We're going to close that loop. so we make sure that it's right. Because I mean, honestly, we have engineers coming behind us to check our work. So if we do all this work and then the engineer comes and sets the corners and checks the elevation and it's wrong, we got to go back in there and spend money and make it right. And if we're wrong, if you know the engineer, if on some jobs we don't have engineers check us, and if we're wrong, that's money out of my, you know, I don't get paid.
That's what I mean. We've done this optically. They're not buying it. You know, we need to do it. We need to get rid of the optics. I feel like
They won't
No,
buy
but
that either, Jeremy. Sorry to rain on your parade, bro.
the
Whatever you
optics,
do, they will not buy it.
the optics are very accurate over 200 and 300 and 400 foot. Very accurate, like
I
as
believe
accurate
you.
as you can get. Now, water levels, the actual tool, the water level is more accurate.
Of
That's
course,
the
yeah.
most now if you get all the air out, there's some variables there too. There's human error and you know, you get some air in the line somehow and that will throw your accuracy off. But as a whole, over long distance, a water level is the most accurate tool known to mankind. And you know why? It's because nature made it.
Because water's flat on top. Still.
What's up, honey? All right.
Want to put a little tray or something to view the level, you can at 100 yards, at every 1,000 yards, whatever.
Well, it's
You
not
put on a
susceptible.
little T intersection there, and put a pipe up, and you've got a water level and measuring device any length you want.
Absolutely. Now, just being honest, the most accurate way is to have just two ends. The most accurate way. When you
Not
start
at all.
putting
Water is level all across between your
I'm
two
not
ends and
disputing that.
everywhere in the middle. And the more samples you have, the more accuracy you have. So I'm so sorry, you're wrong.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm not telling you you're wrong. I'm just saying the most accurate way is to not have T's because that just brings in places where air and stuff can get in.
I mean, the water level.
The water level is accurate.
Really?
The water level
Give me
also
a break.
the water level also has the advantage because it's not susceptible to refraction, right? At all.
Have you ever heard of flushing air out of lines? You do it with gas lines, brake lines, all kinds of lines, including water level lines, buddy.
Yes, buddy. I do my own brake jobs. I know all about that. But when you add things like that, you introduce more variables, more places where air can get in over time. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. I'm not arguing with you.
So, I don't know. I mean, we've done it optically. They're not buying it. Well, now what?
They're not gonna buy it, Jeremy. You guys seen the Panama Canal thing there, where the boat goes straight through? How many miles is that? Flat water?
Oh, that's a long canal right there. Yeah.
Okay, now if Jeremy, if somebody can witness that video and not get that water is flat, what amount of additional evidence do you think that they're gonna believe? More than that?
I mean, I don't know. I got visions of grandeur.
No, I commend you for trying, bro, and by all means. But you know, there's no way there's just no way.
Welcome.
I feel like if
Yeah.
we figured out, I feel like if we figured out how to draw a line on these walls, we could get the flat earthers drawing them all over the place, and it would be evident for people, and there would be no denying it, and then they just have to come out. That water's not bending. You know, I don't know.
You know, the more we
Crazy.
talk about it, the stupider the idea that water bends sounds to me, honestly.
Yeah. I was thinking back to the old ideas that I had when the first days when I visioned, like, you know, a round ball, the Nile River, it flowing upwards, exiting into the Mediterranean. Like, if you can envision that and make that work in your head somehow, I mean,
see, it's not flowing up for them though. What's the elevation where it starts?
yeah, I know they're gonna cut. I heard all the arguments, bro, backwards and forwards. I know. But just envision a ball. Tell them, okay, after they say all that, just tell them, okay, here's a basketball, here's a cup of water, demonstrate it for me.
I know. It's ridiculous in practical terms, but they have an excuse for everything. What do you want?
Yeah.
Everything you got, they got an excuse for. You know this.
Well, you know, all of the
So
backstories for all of the characters in the Star Wars expanded universe are really fleshed out. There's like a book for each one, and you can find out what their favorite color is and what color their eyes are and who they lost their virginity to, and not a goddamn word of it's true.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
I just think some of this stuff just sounds so fanciful. It's ridiculous. But nobody wants to defend the globe today. What's going on?
Yo,
I
they're
don't understand.
scared. We got people that have denounced the globe, and now they're just flat Earth skeptics.
Flat
They're not
Earth
claiming the globe
skeptics.
anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, they're not. People are backing off of the globe claims, and they're just saying they're flat Earth skeptics. That's all.
Does that mean we won? Are we the establishment now?
No.
No. Okay.
A lot of people to go yet.
Yeah.
A lot of people left. You're going to need something profound to be able to sway people's minds. I feel like, they're not censoring, but they changed the algorithm. We're not getting promoted anymore, so we're going to need something with a little pizzazz on it.
Can't we just take them outside and say, "All right, stand still right here. You're not moving, right?" No. All right, now look up in the sky. See that big bright thing? Watch it move across the sky. Like, hey, the sun's moving. That's what I always think. It's like, I don't know. You got to show me something for this fantastical claim that I'm spinning and twirling through the universe. It's just.
It's honestly. Sorry. It's honestly their job to show. They should be showing us water bending. We shouldn't have to do it. The straight line thing, they should be doing it. They need to prove it tangibly. But they don't think they have to because the whole world essentially believes in the globe, so they don't have to really do anything.
They can believe that one brother on the ISS ages slower than the other one on Earth, and they have proof of it. The Canadian twin brothers, check it up.
Like they say that they actually
not 3 seconds.
How much?
Yeah.
Not
Yes,
seconds?
Gleam. Yes.
Oh, okay.
They have it down to what was that? Not 3 Gleam.
Yeah, that's it. They've been measuring on quartz. I'm mad.
I brought that up on Jose's, and they were laughing at me. No, you're crazy. They didn't say that. Look, man, I didn't make that up. That's what your belief says.
And that's what they tell. One twin is younger than the other, don't they? The twin paradox in real life.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I hate to say it, but this is kind of why Pete Shea gets frustrated sometimes. He says this over and over again, and I know he's right. It's like, well, we're never going to change their minds. What the hell are we going to do? What is our goal? And, what should we be doing? It really is kind of a personal thing for everybody.
Well, they're never going to change. I'll agree with Pete when he says we're never going to change their minds. If he means they, meaning the hardcore globers, as far as the rest of humanity, there's only like a couple hundred of these globers. Who cares? We need to do something for the normal people that are walking around just blindly believing in it.
There's only one way, a high-profile event, something that'll catch the news. That's the only way to break through. What the guy was saying yesterday, why don't we bring our stuff to scientists? Are you kidding me, bro? They're going to laugh at us. They won't even make it through the lobby, the guard,
Yeah.
Who was that? Space Pope that was saying that?
Yeah, that was bad.
If you make it through the security guard, dude, you're lucky.
See, and I kind of think the opposite. $20. I'm trying to go to that surveyor, that lead. I don't go to a surveyor. I go to the lead surveyor. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the way to go. You put doubt in their mind, or you just get them checking. They have more authority. You get that one or two that come, do certain tests or can help us. But it's tough, man, because I'm going to be honest. I know 2 or 3 that would never say anything. Now, I know some civil engineers that speak up at their office, but they have a real open office. But in most places, if you speak out, it's trouble at work.
Rocky, could we hire one of these professional geodetic surveyors to make a straight horizontal line? Can they do that? How much would that cost?
Over
$500 maybe.
over
500 bucks.
3,000.
Yeah.
I just thought
3,000.
of something, but
Over
they'll never let us do it.
over 3,000 architects and engineers absolutely agree that jet fuel cannot bring down one building, let alone 2 or 3, and that was quasi mainstream, right?
And it's supposed to float a rocket.
Yeah, it's supposed to float a rocket in space, jet fuel. But you
Well,
know,
the
we were
point is
talking about
nobody
authority.
listens. Yeah.
Even Rocky was, saying if we can get a couple surveys to open their mind, and man, they might even, hell yeah, even have some definitive, awesome.
Well, if it's only
tests, right? But man,
They'll
if
get
it's only
ridiculed and they'll lose their jobs. Come on, guys.
if it's only $500,
shut down. They'll get
if it's
shut
only
down.
$500, yeah, if it's only $500 though, you could have them make the straight line and be like, "Well, look at it to the water,"
Yeah, they don't have to believe anything, but you should start with a plane surveyor because they're already halfway there.
I have an idea. George was talking about the Eiffel Tower and dropping bowling balls. How about a high-profile event like the guy with the rocket there? Everybody was reporting how dumb he was. May his soul rest in peace. You know who I'm talking about?
Absolutely, yeah.
A high-profile event. We'll get George to stand under the Eiffel Tower and we'll drop some bowling balls and see how the Coriolis effect works.
You'd have to hang a plumb line and see where the plumb
Keep
line
your eye on it,
lands.
George.
Shout out to George.
No,
I want to do the bullet thing, get someone to
Yeah,
stand
even
out.
better. Yeah, even better. Have him stand at the target of a sniper.
Exactly. Yep.
And be like, tell him, don't
Trust
worry, he's not accounting
Coriolis.
for.
Don't
tell him,
worry,
don't
you're
worry,
east.
The sniper's not accounting.
Or you're east. Yeah.
Tell him, don't worry, the sniper's not accounting for refraction or Coriolis. You'll be good.
Wow.
That compass is. You used GPS, didn't you? You have no worries.
Yeah.
Now wait right here.
George, set up your theodolite and look at the sniper, right? So you can watch that bullet come straight through his eye. That'd be funny. That was mean, but yeah.
Jesus Christ, Aaron. Holy fuck, man.
Yeah, that took it a little far, but it's the truth, right?
I'll tell you though, it is an event that would probably bring some attention to the flat Earth.
Huh? Am I right or what?
Yeah, that would be
You
some
can
good
pay-per-view
attention.
that one.
Hey, what did you
Coriolis
Globers out
fails.
there has the guts to put your money where your mouth is? You really believe it's a ball? You take our, what are we going to call it?
The Eiffel Tower Challenge.
The Eiffel Tower Challenge, or the sniper
Sniper
challenge.
Rollers.
The Flat Earth Sniper
Sniper
Challenge.
Rollers.
Sniper Rollers.
Hatanok test.
The Hatanok. It's got to be George, huh?
I got it. The Nunchuck Challenge.
That's a
I
great
mean, what do you
idea,
do, drop a
actually.
plumb
That would
line?
be pretty popular, I think. That'd get some attention.
Do you drop a plumb line from the Eiffel Tower, see where it's vertical, and then drop the bowling ball from there?
Yeah.
Neil deGrasse Tyson thinks that a football will be deflected. Maybe he'd be willing to stand under it.
Well, all the Globers think that there is this up-down deviation when you go up or down. Yeah.
Huh. Good idea,
You know,
guys.
that bowling ball, according to the Globers, is not going to land where the vertical plumb line lands.
When parachutes were sort of first developed and being perfected in the Second World War, people would jump off the Eiffel Tower with them. If they worked, fine. A lot of them didn't.
A lot of the parachutes didn't open.
Didn't work, period.
Well, that's kind of a random fact, Jimbo.
I'll tell you
That
this:
sucks.
the invention of the parachute has revolutionized the skydiving industry.
Oh.
Yeah, even parasails.
That was
just
a
the
joke.
Design, you don't have to land by ride air currents for hours.
Good joke, Jeremy. I liked it.
You want to prove how dumb people have gotten? Drive up to a drive-through. Tell them that you can't read the menu because you're blind. They need to read it to you and see how far they get down the menu.
Check.
I'll have to give that one a try.
That's cruel.
That's funny.
But I didn't think parachutes work. They've got holes in the top.
Huh? Oh boy.
That's for the Coriolis, no, Gleam?
Yeah, Coriolis hole.
Just yeah.
Every
Ken,
hole's a
for
spinner.
shooting in Coriolis, there's Mark and Sam after work, and they do like well over 2 mile shots, some 5,000 plus yards, hitting targets 2 foot by 2 foot, and they don't calculate no Coriolis ever, 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 no matter what direction they're shooting. Funny thing.
Yeah, well, it's in a manual somewhere, so it must be true, Jimbo.
Or the Earth's not spinning.
One of the two of those.
Or you just don't understand.
Or it's length contraction. Come on. You don't
There
actually
you go.
understand that.
Time dilation.
There's the Palumbo Field Artillery and Missile Guide, and it doesn't refer to it. It has to look at the Earth as flat and stationary, and it calculates, arc trajectories, crosswinds, other stuff, but not Coriolis. When you're using mortar, it's the angle it goes up and the amount of thrust that'll determine where it lands around. You think tanks point and shoot at other tanks and are calculating Coriolis? Not likely.
I thought they were calculating it at football games when they're kicking field goals.
If you've ever held a rifle, even if you're shooting at a deer like 200-300 yards away, you're not thinking, "Oh, the Coriolis effect. Where should I shoot to get this deer?"
Well,
not above the thing and in the heart.
Not only Coriolis, you got to take refraction into account for that too.
Yeah, because the deer is being loomed over the horizon for me, and my bullet has to drop behind and hit it.
A lot of fucking shit you got to take into account.
More often than not, just the motion of the target is well enough to not worry about it.
Define scales and calibrations for everything and make instruments to determine how much of what is what. There's a thing that called glare that we can't really put a measurement on, because once there's like a pure light gets bright enough, we see it as white. If you add more energy to it, it just gets whiter and whiter. Even if you started off with a pure, unique frequency and color like red or blue laser, it don't matter. They all become white at a certain power level. So our retinas are fooled by glare. Things could be a color, but because there's too much intensity of light, it appears as white to us.
What about rifling of a bullet, right? So keeps the bullet from tumbling, especially what we call it, a pointed bullet, not your old ball bullet, right? Your lead ball.
Cannonball.
Yeah, but the
They've
rifling
been improving
creates...
the aerodynamics of the shape of the bullet every day. They don't just do it over years.
Sure, but that's
they've
it.
improved
Also,
the 3006, so it's a long range rifle now, and it never used to be.
sure, they changed the rifling of the barrel depending on the range of the gun too, because the more and the more spin that bullet has to keep it from tumbling, creates what's called spin drift, right?
Yeah, a Bernoulli effect, kind of.
Sure.
Or whatever it is. Yeah. There's a compromise between velocity, rotation, acceleration, all that stuff. They're all physics.
Kind of like a football.
Basically.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff they calculate into it.
No, it was real bend, Aaron.
When someone shoots the .5 straight up, the bullet comes straight back down. At 45-degree latitude, it should move me and the gun I'm firing 16 miles away. So there's no way the bullet should be coming back down after a minute and 50 seconds and landing somewhere 100 yards or less from me.
Even a 50 cal will reach its tumbling point.
Yeah. In the end, they do. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
After they've exhausted all that, what kind of energy would you call that? The spinning motion. After it exhausted all that, it does start to tumble.
Rotational torque, I guess.
Yeah. But that's when you shoot a 50 cal farther than its recommended accuracy range, right? They'll shoot for very far.
Well, the Canadian got a over 2 mile kill in Afghanistan, mountaintop to mountaintop.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the range is. That might be within range.
Oh, it's
You
long
know.
for a 50 cal kill shot. Come on, really?
Yeah, I don't know the range, but what I'm
Oh,
saying is,
it's not 2 miles normally. No.
Yeah. Put it this way: as soon as it hits 1 kilometer, it's in transonic. So as you were saying, if any bit of air hits it, it can just veer off, completely veer off in a random direction.
Yeah, that's why with the long distance shooters, you'll see a windsock down by the target, a little off to the side. It helps them clue into how they should shoot, a little left or a little right, or not at all, dead center.
Yeah, good ranges to have them at every, let's say 500 meters.
And the point of a spotter.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they say the Coriolis is supposed to affect the bullet on 1,000-yard, 2,000-yard shots. Really? A 2-mile shot, the bullet's in flight for 9 seconds.
Well, in their calculations, that's where they get you, right? They just calculate it, so when they say it affects it, they can't ever prove it.
yeah, and at 2 miles, it's not a stable flight, like Gleam was just saying, and Rocky and everybody, right?
Yeah, and the bullet doesn't have much energy in the last end of its flight. It really, any little breeze will blow it off the target.
Exactly.
And it won't go through the target either.
Yeah.
Yeah. On my screen here, I'll share in a minute, is this document. I think we've looked at it before. Let me share my screen that describes how they create these firing tables. Oh, am I still streaming to you guys?
Yeah, I
Okay,
can see.
cool.
Yeah, you're good. We see you fine.
And there's a bunch of equations in here that
I
they
think
do.
I saw Brill go by. If anyone doesn't know, Brill stands for Ballistic Research Institute there for the military. They have software for ballistics that's free to the public that you can load up and calculate explosive powers, other stuff, penetration into buildings. The whole works with Brill. It's very complete software.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
For projectile.
So what they do is they create an equation and they get so many rounds and some initial data from, whoever developed the weapons and did initial testing. So they take a number of rounds and then they fire them at different elevations. And they capture a bunch of data. So they've got the weapon, the projectile, the fuse, the propellant. And all this, I mean, you can look through all these variables that they're using in their calculations and looking at time of firing, projectile weight, slant distance, coil time, time of flight, deflection, and there's a whole equation of motion in here, fuse setting, propellant temperature, and it just goes on
Is there
and
a
on.
Coriolis column?
The deflection, I think, includes the Coriolis, but this equation of motion, you can see they've got like these 3 different equations.
Are they counting for refraction?
No, I don't think there's any refraction included in this one, actually.
That's more an optical sight thing. This is more of a trajectory thing, isn't it?
Oh, all right.
Wind, crosswind, they're sending balloons up, and they're
One
plugging all
thing
this
I never
data in
see-
here to get this ballistic coefficient, and that's what they adjust to make their equations work and to draw their firing tables on where the rounds are going to land.
Yeah, the one thing I don't see in this or in any bullet is if you look on any plane, on the wings there's these little spikes. If you've ever seen them set on the window seat and whatnot, there's these little spikes called static discharger spikes. And what they are is for when you're flying around, obviously through clouds and up there, you're collecting static electricity. And what those dischargers do is build it up on the tips of that and discharge it so it doesn't automatically discharge back into the equipment in the cockpit. Now, same thing. There's free electrons all around. If a bit of metal is spinning at high speeds through an electrostatic field like Earth's, it's going to pick up some sort of charge. And in all honesty, I could just easily claim Coriolis is the right-hand rule, where it's collecting charge as it's going up, and then the natural field potential differential is veering it off in whatever direction it needs to go in the right-hand rule.
That could be affecting the flow cult. William, you think that's
exactly that? Yep, exactly that.
Interesting.
That's why helicopters are dangerous too with static electricity, because their rotors are spinning in certain conditions and they can't they have other things that protect their electronics and things from spark actually. But
Yeah, I'm sure.
the
I'm sure
planes
that
have them, that deflect that static electricity away from the cabin.
Yeah, that was a massive thing in
The
Afghanistan.
acceleration due to gravity is on a projectile. I thought gravity, didn't help to accelerate an object forward and stuff.
No, it's going down in the down vector, in as much as you shoot it out from your the barrel, and it starts falling from there onwards. Basically, that's what it is. The resistance pushing it down due to its own weight.
Yeah, notice this one down here, acceleration due to the rotation of the Earth. This is included in the equations that they use to calculate what happened to the round as it went through the air. So they fire it, they take the data from where they're firing it, it lands somewhere, and then they plug some of the variables into this equation and try to figure out what happened to it while it went through the air, and then they adjust C. A little more to it than that, but they're essentially adjusting one of the variables to get it to fit the end results on where it landed, essentially.
See, you could write any formula like that, right? You could say the flapping of the duck's wings above the bullet causes this much deflection. Then fire a bullet, it misses the target by X amount, and then readjust it and write it into the equation. You see what I'm saying? All that math, all that calculation after the fact is so bogus, so telling.
Exactly. It's not like they measured the Coriolis or they actually measured any of these accelerations. It's just all based on the model. They baked it right in. It's an assumption. This isn't proof of Coriolis.
It is basically recording down what they're getting in reality and then working it back and saying, right, this is what we got. What should it be for gravity? What should it be for the rotation? Blah, blah, blah. And then match it all up as near as damn it.
Yeah, I feel like they do that with the refraction too, though. They'll just say, "Oh, this is what's supposed to happen because that's what fits the globe."
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like reverse engineered, sort of.
Yeah.
There's actually a name for it. I can't remember what it is, but
it's called making bullshit up.
It's called deception.
That's the one, Travis.
Yeah, either of those are technically correct.
Look, if you guys listen, I know that we probably all have either said this or thought of this, right? But they know what the physics demand in this arena. That's why what we require of them makes sense. So when they don't have deviation and they can't account for it, again, we've talked about this now maybe the fourth time tonight. There's no observed phenomenon. It's all made up. Coriolis is made up. Coriolis didn't exist before merry-go-round.
Well said, bro.
Yeah, that is that nail on the head, man. No kidding, Travis. We don't see Coriolis anywhere. Coriolis due to Earth spin. We don't see that anywhere, right? No. Have you ever seen Earth-based Coriolis anywhere, or heard of anyone that has seen it, or a video even?
Hurricane.
Oh, come on now.
Yeah, it's visual. It's a visual effect. That's why I'm referring to it as the Coriolis vision, because it ain't anything.
Left lane.
Left
lane. Have you heard of trade winds at all and ocean currents?
Or weather.
Yeah.
I
I've got a little bit deeper understanding of it than that. We studied it in ecology, and we did shit about, I don't know, probably 2 weeks on weather and Coriolis effect and all that stuff.
I mean, I used to think that my water.
There were let's just say thousands of years of sailors and let's just say ocean goers that understood the effects of trade winds and ocean currents and temperatures, and no Coriolis. You know,
What did they
saw
teach, though? I'm interested. What did they teach?
Well, just the reason that a 700-mile wide storm rotates is because, like in the northern hemisphere, the southern end of it is in an area that's moving, has a great gentle velocity than the north end of it, and that's what causes it to spin.
No, it's the wind direction coming into the coast of Africa that affects the U.S. and coming off the coast of Africa that create that spin, and that's why most of them develop there and come into the Gulf after that, spinning in that direction. And when they're in the southern hemisphere, they're created in a different area, and the weather and wind patterns there are different, and they rotate the other way. So, yeah, I don't know what else to tell you, man. That's weather.
Well, and if you think about it, in the south, you've got, no matter what the south is, you've got Antarctica, you've got cold. In the center, you've got the Arctic, you've got cold. And in the middle, you've got the sun blazing around, heating up air.
In the same direction, nonstop.
Yeah, and it's cold air and hot air pushing against each other in the same general area has a symmetrical pattern on both sides of the equator. It doesn't seem like rocket science to me.
Why would you expect it to do anything else?
I don't know. And how could you pinpoint it on Coriolis, an effect, as Travis said, we have no observations of, when you have a perfectly plausible explanation that we can see with our own eyes?
And so this effect that Left Lane was talking about must get greater the closer you get to the equator, but I don't see hurricanes, hitting Venezuela, it's always for some, like Rocky just said, dude, trade winds, currents, just in the area coming off certain bodies of land and heat and everything like that, dude. I mean, unless you can show me a big ass hurricane that hit Venezuela as consistently as they hit the Gulf.
I've had 5 this year in the Gulf. 5.
Go ahead, Left Lane.
Why did they always rotate in the same direction?
It's the same pattern of the temperature and pressure.
But you also said the reason why they rotate in that direction is because of an effect of, the southern winds come in and it starts spinning that way because of Coriolis. Right?
Hold on, Gleam said they don't.
No, anticyclones. Look up anticyclones. It's to do with exactly what Rakia said. It's pressure and temperature, nothing to do with spin.
Right, so you have a black
Yeah.
swan, right? All you need is a black swan of one hurricane rotating the opposite direction in the southern hemisphere. But my question.
Oh, they're recorded all the time.
I'm sure there are. I really. Left Lane. My question is: were you guys able to reproduce anything in the lab? I mean, did you guys do any hands-on demonstrations and experiments where you manipulated nature and demonstrated these things for yourselves, or were you just told that the spin of the Earth creates these currents in the air? Was it just explained to you?
It was explained, and with in ecology we did population dispersions and based on resources available and
what have population dispersions to do with Coriolis? Okay. My question to you was,
you asked if we did demonstrations. Those were the demonstrations and lab work we did. But as far as the weather was pretty much just an explanation, and we were taught that this is what it was.
Right. So you simply took it for granted that the explanation was reality.
And I have no reason to believe that they were lying to me about it.
Were you using a Coriolis flow meter? Sorry, Travis, one question and I'll let you have it.
That's all right.
Were you using a Coriolis flow meter by any chance? You said vibration, right?
I've never heard of that, SE.
Oh, okay.
And the teachers don't have to be lying. They're just teaching what's in the book.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Right. If he doesn't have a reason to think that he's being lied to, then that's fine. If that's the way he sees it, that's okay. If at some point he realizes he might have been lied to, then he can look into it, or not necessarily lied to, but given incorrect information.
When I drag my finger through a puddle of water and I create two eddy currents, is that Coriolis?
You mean like if there was a group of people on the internet telling him they're wrong, he's been lied to?
No, that's not good enough, because you can find probably a group of people to tell you anything about the reality. So, like, just a group of people saying you're wrong about something doesn't mean anything. You're not responsible to take the word of just a group of people because they're a group of people.
I hear you.
Yeah. So left lane. So your question was, well, what about all of the demonstrations that all the storm systems rotate in the same direction? Is that your position? You believe that they all do?
No, you've got low pressure anticyclones that happen on a small scale, like, you know, out in the western plains of the United States. You know, cold pressure systems instead of high pressure systems that rotate backwards. But as far as the hurricanes that develop off the coast of Africa and come into the Gulf and up the east coast of the U.S., they always rotate counterclockwise.
Okay.
Always.
And that's because of the weather.
Not
That's because of the
always.
weather patterns during that time of year. That's why hurricanes don't happen in you know, in
Right.
February.
So let me just try to wrap up. Hold on, Jim, please. Hold on. I have a couple of questions more. Okay. So, but your position though, left lane, is that there's one cause, and that is the rotation of the Earth, right? So your question seems to imply that there can only be one. And when you say, well, why do all the storm systems only rotate in the same direction? Meaning the only reason why they can do that is, my question is it possible in your mind that storm systems due to high pressure and low pressure could be a cause?
Shit, I'm losing my signal.
Yeah, I think you cut out a bit. You're cutting out a bit there, Travis.
Oh,
I mean, he just said they have anticyclones because of the pressure and heat and temperature.
No, hold on, but he didn't allow those for those coming off the coast of Africa. So, left lane, can you hear me now? Am I clear now for you?
Yeah, am I clear?
No.
Now you're fading, left lane.
Yeah, I'm coming across out of Texas.
Okay, now it's better. Okay, so real quick, my final question was, is it possible in your mind that the cause for those consistent storms could be attributed to high pressure and low pressure off the coast of Africa?
I would have to look into that. It just right off the bat, you know, the size, the magnitude of the system, and what I understand, and I've been taught about it, I would have to attribute its counterclockwise rotation to the Coriolis.
May I add in here that there are recorded events in the United States where tornadoes have actually been spinning when they touch down in the wrong direction.
Like we're giving you other reasons. We're giving you other reasons why this could happen. Temperature, pressure. Maybe it's always the same temperature and pressure that it's coming from, you know, off the coast of Africa or whatever. Or like, are you going to look into this or
time of year, like hockey?
Yeah, are you going to look into this? If it's...
Well, the main thing about like the hurricanes is they never rotate backwards, and they follow the same pattern.
My understanding is it takes three thunderstorms off the coast of Africa that combine to form the original hurricanes. It always takes three separate thunderstorms in proximity that combine and form the hurricane. Thunderstorms usually have a base, you know, of 6 miles by 6 miles.
And let's keep in mind that those storms, right, Jimbo, and a hurricane, when it forms, is an updraft, right? It creates low pressure underneath, and an updraft. Yeah, and an updraft. Okay, has nothing to do with direction, east, west, left, right. It's just a draft going up.
It has to go
know you
some
Okay,
direction,
so now
right?
that
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it has to go some direction. And it makes sense to me that it would go the direction that the heat and the cold are coming from. And that's what would cause it to form in one direction. And since those are opposite on opposite sides of the equator, why would we expect it to be otherwise? There's just no evidence tying hurricanes definitively to the rotation of the Earth. Using that as basis for Coriolis is a long stretch.
Now, see, I've never seen this, but I've heard of, and I would like to do some research on that if a hurricane happened to cross the equator, that it would fall apart.
Left lane, could I ask you a question?
Hold on, real quick. Hold on. So, yeah, just real quick, Essie. I'm sorry. So, left lane, since you brought that up, in your investigation, which you should look into because you brought it up, is that an observation that establishes the principle, or is that an idea that they think would happen if it ever crossed?
Yeah,
Has it ever?
I've never seen that. I would have to do some research into it to see if that actually ever happened. But if it did, if that were the case, then that would sort of, fall in line with a rotating planet,
No, not at all.
Maybe it would just fall apart because now the cold air is on the opposite side of it.
Travis, I have an
crossed over.
observation.
I agree.
Travis, I have an observation, Travis.
Yeah.
Going back to merry-go-rounds, I put a 5-gallon bucket full of water on the outer edge of the merry-go-round, and I spun it. And the water in that bucket started to swirl. It was just so awesome, dude. It was fucking amazing, man.
You're so crazy.
Yeah.
All right, Essie, go ahead, man.
Oh yeah, left lane, I want to ask you a question. Would you agree with this statement? The Coriolis effect is visual?
No, no, I don't. It's a real deal. I mean, you can close your eyes and it still happens.
What are you referring to? The actual spinning motion? Let's use a merry-go-round.
Yeah, it whether you're looking at it or not, it happens.
What happens?
The effect.
And the effect is what?
Well, you get into the reference frames and all that stuff, and that gets way too complicated to discuss.
Agreed. Let's wait. No. Hold on. I want to go on with this simple line. Let's just use a ball, me, you, and a merry-go-round. How about that? No math, no fancy stuff.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so we're both on the merry-go-round, right? I'm on one side, you're on the other, right? And I throw a ball to you, right?
Yep.
As soon as that ball leaves my hand, can we agree that it's traveling in a straight line?
Yep.
Okay. So where does the curve come in? Where does the effect come in? Would we agree it's the person that's on the merry-go-round, me and you, see the ball curving?
It will look to you and I as if the ball is curving.
Correct. So the following statement, would it be correct? It's a visual effect? The ball is not actually curving?
Visual with respect to it appears to curve, although it doesn't. It appears to curve because we're rotating.
Correct.
Well, so if you throw it straight at him.
I'm sorry, do I?
Sorry.
So we're in agreement then?
Yeah, it's a visual effect as in that it appears to curve even though it's not curving.
Exactly. So that's what the Coriolis effect is. You see, it's an actual thing. You can see it, right? But you have to be spinning.
Yes.
So
It
in order
depends
for
on
that,
where you're looking at it.
sorry, go ahead.
It depends on where you're. I mean, if you're the observer on the rotating reference frame, the object appears to curve, but to a
But it's
person outside the reference frame, the ball goes straight.
yeah, you got it. That's it, bro.
Yeah, yeah, I understand it. I understand it pretty good. I hate talking about it though, man. You get into
But
the reference
But that's
frame
it. You
because
just said it yourself, left lane. I mean, that's it. You explained it, bro. It's a
but can
visual
I?
effect. So let me just say one more thing. So left lane, we agree on this. It's a visual effect, right? So how can a visual effect affect a hurricane, a plane, anything? Think
why
about it.
would it? Why would it not affect a hurricane or a projectile?
Because it's a visual thing.
So
How could a visual effect affect anything?
Okay, because it's real. It's not imagination. It's a real thing that happens.
No, you're thinking that the Earth is spinning in your mind, right? When you say that statement.
Absolutely.
You see, exactly. But that's why you're conflating these two things. If the Earth was spinning, right, we'd be able to see that effect. You'd be able to throw that ball, and you would see it deflect. But actually, we never see that in real life.
No, and see that if we get into the practical demonstrations and see a turntable, looking at a turntable demonstration is a little bit. I mean, the scale is so off. I mean, it's such a small representation. That if you think shooting a projectile from the equator, say you shoot it 700 miles, if you were looking at it on a turntable aspect, that would only occupy a tiny section of that turntable. So
It's so big you
kinda like-
can't see it.
Yeah, he's
The
gonna
great
guys,
scale
no,
negator.
handle that.
Yeah, that turntable is what they use to tell us about Coriolis. Remember?
Yeah, the 1 RPM, no problem. Left lane, check it out. But don't you think if you're on the equator and it's traveling at 1,037 or whatever it is, don't you think that's sufficient enough speed if you throw a ball in the air for it to deflect? Think about it, bro.
No, not throwing a ball in the air. You're too close to it. There's not enough traveled. You're not going to see it throwing a ball because the atmosphere and Nathan Oakley and it just aggravates me to death has put it in that the atmosphere is a separate reference frame from the surface of the Earth, and it is not. The atmosphere rotates with the Earth.
Then you don't have the Coriolis. You just defeated your own state.
Then no Coriolis, sir.
Okay. Now let's go one step further. If and this is, I mean, this is, I guess, all I could say about it. If you're on the equator and you shoot due north, 0 degrees north, a projectile 20 miles, if you do not accommodate Earth's rotation, you'll miss your target.
Okay, can you demonstrate that, please?
See, that's it. That's what I started to say. I wish to goodness that that we could do that, but I mean, hell, what would that involve? My next door neighbor is an ex-military artillery, and he's got like 30 airplanes. He collects Army surplus. He's got self-propelled howitzers. He used to shoot these things, and I've talked to him about this, and all he does is laugh at me, about it.
Appeal to authority. So let's say you said if I was at the equator and I shot north real quick. If I was at the equator, just real quick. Okay, I know. I just want to get under your skin. Don't worry about it. I just want to get under your skin. It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, I trust your neighbor. Now, if I was at the equator and I shot 20 miles north, you say there'd be a deflection. Well, let me go 10 miles north and shoot back south across the equator. Is my bullet going to do an S-curve?
It might. I don't know. No, let's see. I would have to think about it, maybe even draw it out. I don't know.
Think about it, bro. Think about it. Think if you throw a ball high enough, how much, and give it some hang time and try to do the calculations where it should be if the Earth is traveling at 1,034 at the spot that you left the ball up. Try to do the math.
it gets into all of that and doing that, shooting across the equator in the S curve. It ain't that damn important to me.
Did your neighbor ever take into account those calculations, or did he just lob a howitzer?
No, he said if you do not take into account the rotation of the Earth, you will miss every time.
So how did he know? Because he's gifted the tables based on what I just showed you, the formulas and all that. How did he know that the Coriolis was impacted? He just went by the firing tables, right? Or did he make his own firing tables?
No, they had their manuals, and it was Vietnam, so it was, you know, pre-computer controlled shit. They had to plug the stuff in and dial that howitzer in and aim. And the first shot was pretty much a test shot. You know, if they missed left, they would adjust right and shoot again. You know, but
that doesn't help the cause.
How-
What does that
how would they
say
miss?
about the
How would they miss if they knew all
accuracy?
that?
Yeah, if they did the math,
Well,
how would they miss?
Well, you've got the windage. You don't know what the wind's doing 10 miles away. I mean, you just think making a 10-mile shot with a 50-pound shell. I mean,
Why are you describing a flat Earth?
10 miles away is over the curvature. How could he see the target?
Well, maybe he couldn't see the target. Maybe he got the coordinates, and they said, "Here's your coordinates," and you know they plug it all in.
So it's a guided. It was
What do you mean by plug it all in? What were they plugging in?
No, just plugging it into their formula to tell them what degrees to adjust.
Okay, so it wasn't the person who was getting the howitzer to aim and shoot wasn't doing the math to figure out where it needed to go. Obviously, they were just plugging in the numbers, and whatever work had already been done previously was done again on those numbers.
How did they know they missed?
And there's no way to confirm whether or not it accounted for spin.
How did
They're
they know
firing
they missed?
to a
Was there-
grid, and then they
foreman?
adjust after that. That's it.
Yeah. Was there a foreman up there?
The first shot, they call it something. The first shot, it's a dummy shot, I think they call it. And then they adjust according to where they missed.
Yes, because they're only firing to a grid, which is a plane survey. And then when they adjust due to windage, they adjust after the first shot. You're right.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Well, I'd like to just say that just to close this discussion down, because I didn't hear any offers of practical demonstration, any experimental evidence. I heard a lot of excuses, just to be honest with you, Howard, for why we don't have evidence.
I wish that we could. I wish we could go out and demonstrate this. And that's what my neighbor popped up. I mean, he has got a functional self-propelled howitzer in his museum. And I wish we could go out and shoot the damn thing.
Well, I get you. Well, I was an artilleryman for 6 years, and I don't remember, honestly, ever hearing the word Coriolis. I'm sure I read it in somewhere, but it was nothing that we ever discussed. Okay, we're going to go into final thoughts. I thought that was a good discussion on Coriolis, but before I do that, I do have a couple of super chats from Cleary. Check out the Cleary channel on YouTube. The first one was for $2, and he said level is horizontal. So just a friendly reminder there. Appreciate that, Cleary. Level is horizontal, guys. Don't forget. And for $5, thermohaline circulation dictates the rotation during hurricanes. And I looked that up while we were talking, and that's pretty interesting. Coriolis makes this weird pattern around the globe like this. You see all this Coriolis? It looks like knotted shoelaces. That's strange, huh? So
could that be spaghettification?
Could be. Very well could be. I didn't think of that. But good show tonight, guys. Really appreciate it. Some good information. Thanks for sharing all that stuff with about Einstein with us, Gleam. Thanks to the chat who seemed to be fired up at times, especially when the rocket discussion was going on. Rockets in a vacuum. Thanks to the panelists for their input. Appreciate that. Even Rumpus, whose stay was short, he's welcome back. Just please don't eat your microphone. And we'll start off at the bottom tonight. Go backwards. Start off with real Bob Dole. Go ahead, Bob.
I just got back and got on a little while ago, so I don't know what most of the discussion was about. I just kind of came on the tail end of it here about the howitzers and how are they aimed. But it sounds like what he's describing is some people figured out the distance they needed to fire, where they needed it to go, and then punch some numbers into what was already figured out. And there's no way to confirm whether or not what was already figured out actually ever accounted for any curve or spin or anything like that. They did what they were told. They followed orders and put the numbers in where they were supposed to put them in. That's what it sounds like.
All right. Cool. Thanks, Bob. SE.
Yes, sir. Good show, Brandon, as usual. You filled the position great, bro. Congratulations. I want to shout out Left Lane. I mean, good on you, bro. You came on. What is it? 10 on 1, 11 on 1. I know what that feels like. But as you can see, we're respectful to you. And guys on the chat, why didn't you guys come in, man? Come on. We're not, shout out Jose and the guys on the show. You guys should come on more often.
Yeah, absolutely. Come on. Yeah, I don't know. Jose doesn't think too highly of us these days. He called me and Ranty disgusting today. So I don't know what that stemmed from, but evidently he's got a low opinion of us. So whatever. Rakia.
I mean, literally, there was a flop. It's poker night in Louisiana, so good show, man. Good night.
Yeah, I've been having to listen to those chips, wishing I was at the table all night.
Yeah, I know. I hate Rakia life.
Thanks, Rakia. Aaron.
Hey, fist bumps, Brandon, and also Left Lane. Like I think SE said, just coming in, hanging out. You're not stressed out. You know us, and we can have any conversation. And cool for you. Just speaking your mind, dude. Just being normal. So a guy like you is a guy like me, like Travis. Most of us, we're workers, right? So we don't have all the time in the world to go actually research this Coriolis or other topics brought up. However, we spend all day thinking about it, right? When you're running your truck, I'm running my machine. I'm just sitting there thinking about stuff, which is good. So I think that's a plus for having you on, right? Because at least you have something to say, which is relevant and something to respond to. So cheers, Left Lane.
And that's a good segue. Left Lane, you're next.
I appreciate the kudos, and I enjoyed coming on and talking to you guys. And I will always be respectful, or I won't be around. I wish that we could bridge the gap between the negativity amongst channels and everybody come together, and maybe we could figure some things out. And once again, I appreciate the hospitality.
Cool. Thanks, Left Lane. Jimbo.
Well, good show again, and again, as far as Left Lane goes, no one's really here to attack you, and that didn't happen today. We may disagree, even I may raise my tone. It don't mean I'm mad at you. I'm mad at the argument and arguing against reifications and personifications of things that just aren't real and like a straight line bending, like gravity, all this other stuff. Coriolis trying to apply a real physical force to it when it's just a visual effect. It gets redundant and it's reification, and it forces a waste of time. It's okay. It teaches some people stuff. People have good discernment, and eventually critical thinking kicks in, and all of the nonsense and reifications do get sorted out. But it is frustrating. It takes a long time. But the difference between you and a rumpus and stuff is you're not trying to trigger people, and people here aren't trying to trigger you. You're expressing your beliefs and your opinions on these physics and stuff, and that's cool. You're not calling people stupid when they don't agree with you like rumpus would, and etc. So hats off to you, and hats off to everyone who don't attack you, but challenge the argument, which is what it's about. Not attacking the messenger. So I guess that's it for tonight. I'm tired of the reifications, but it's part of the learning curve for people. So it's like you have to stay the course. It's not going to change the world, all this information overnight. Everyone ain't going to process it and come to the conclusion it's flat, all at once. But there are hordes of people now not only questioning it, but We certainly know it's flat by now. You know, it's grown. It hasn't stood still. There is forward movement. We may not see it because we're isolated in this YouTube bubble and other, you know, web bubbles, but out there in the real world, oh, there's lots of flat earth happening. That's about it.
Yep. Cool. Thanks, Jimbo. Jeremy.
Yeah, that was much nicer than the rumpus screaming into his mic for 20 minutes there with Left Lane. So shouts out to you. Shouts out to Ranty. I hope you're doing better. And have a good night.
Cool. Thanks, Jeremy. Lee?
Hi, salute to you, Brandon. Salute to Ranty in the chat. Salute to everyone in the chat. Big up, everyone. It's been a good sesh. I will say for the past 20 minutes I've been quiet because I've been battling Fight the Flat Earth. He's gone live on the other channel, and I've just been slating him about exactly what I just spoke about with the MMX. I just want to conclude with the conclusion of the MMX paper. If it was now, we're legitimate to conclude from the present work that the ether is at rest with regards to Earth's surface. Craig seems to think that means it's been removed. Yeah, you're wrong, Craig. You don't know science. You don't know the MMX experiment, and you don't know how to read papers. You're dumb. Thank you very much. Take care.
All right. Thanks,
Wonder.
Lee. F. Evangelist. All right. Travis.
Oh, I'll be back. I'll be back. Sorry, I'll be back.
Travis.
Yeah, Howard, just a couple things again for you to think about. Look into whether or not it's been observed that the systems dissipate over the equator, or that has been injected into the construct. Not observed, it's just an hypothesis point. And then I think that my simplest request is to ask someone like yourself, which came first, the observation or the idea? So if we are mariners 1,000 years ago and we observed hurricanes, what was our explanation? Did we create an observation of the pressure system, of the temperature? You know, we knew it was going to rain, we knew the winds were going to blow, all that kind of stuff. We could break it down and give those variables places in nature, which are air pressure, high pressure, low pressure, temperature, all of that kind of stuff. Okay, so if that was perhaps our explanation way back in the day, and we thought the Earth was flat too, what happened that changed that explanation to Coriolis, and how was our explanation falsified? So just some questions to think about.
All right. Good stuff. Thanks, Travis. Brian, you still there?
Yeah, man, I'm back. Our prayers go out to Ranty. Get your health. Hope to hear you back soon. And I wanted to say one thing about the hurricanes. If it were strictly Coriolis, there'd be hurricanes everywhere. There are only a few spots they spring from. But I want to, and to wrap it up, I want to say to Jeremy or anybody else interested, with the experiments, the tangible experiments, we don't need a 2-mile wall or a 3-mile wall. We can break that down. We can use, this is just an idea, we can drive stakes into the ground next to a body of water, and we can say get like a 20-foot straight edge. Make sure it's perfectly straight to start with. Compare it, calibrate it with a water level, and you can make marks. You could say drive four stakes, and make marks on each of them stakes, and then drive another 4 stakes, but only go like halfway. In other words, you're splitting the difference each time and put more marks on the stakes, and then you could start pulling the stakes from the rear. You could probably do that with string line, even just do like 50 foot at a time where you know there's absolutely no sag, or even 20 foot, whatever it takes. You know, if you want to do something tangible, it's going to be tedious, but it is possible, and that's another way to do it is like overlapping short string lines or a straight edge, which is basically the same concept as drawing a straight line. You're just drawing it in marks. And that would eliminate the possibility of a slow curve if you're steadily following the same line that you just made. All right, that's about it. Thanks for everything, Brandon.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Appreciate the good comments. It was a good show. I got a couple last minute super chats to read. One was from Lael. Let me bring this up here. Lael is here. Thanks, Lael. $5. For 5,300 years, Egyptians have had mathematics, and they also believed the earth was flat, and yet no mathematical model for the flat earth. I believe Lael is a flat earth skeptic, if I heard correctly last time, but thank you, Lael. Appreciate that. Rakia Life. Last minute money is still money. Hell yeah, money's always money. Thanks, Rakia. Good luck at the tables. And thanks to all the audience. The after show will be live on my channel tomorrow. I've been releasing it at noon. Seemed like a good time. Didn't interact with anybody else's stream. So if you want that, go over to my channel, Brandon Toy, and subscribe, and you can watch that there. I usually post about, well, I have been in the last couple days at least, 45 minutes to an hour of the after show. And of course, for those in the Discord, that does mean I'm recording after the show for about an hour. So, you know, just don't say anything you don't want on the record, I guess. Cool. Talk to you guys later. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.
Cheers, Brandon.
Yep, bye, guys.